So thanks everybody for joining us tonight. This is the second of our Tales from the High Marches one-shots here on Variant Roles. And tonight we're a little bit Fey and Elven themed. And rather than listening to me yammer, I think we should talk to some of these fine players. So we'll go around and get some quick introductions. Let's start with you, Ken.
Oh, hey, everybody. I'm Ken Breeze at Burling's Beard. You can find me there on Twitter as well as Instagram, my website. I'm a for-hire DM in the New York City area. I love D&D. And thank you so much, Dan, for having me on. I'll be playing a Fey Knight Errant named Anaran tonight, a member of the Sun Court.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let's go over to Jackie.
Hi guys, I'm Jackie Leung, also known as Death by Mage. You can find me on deathbymage.com, and I will be playing Zolan, the Aasimar Cleric of Light.
Excellent. Let's continue around to our returning player from other Variant Role shows and one-shots, Max.
Hey, I'm Max at allmaxd20 on Twitter and on Twitch. I'm playing Nope the Goblin in the Shadow Court.
Great. Thanks very much. Samantha.
Hi, I'm Samantha Darcy. You probably know me from Twitter as 65th Victor. And I am playing Ain the Wood Elf Ranger, and this is my very first time playing as a player in person, so I'm really nervous.
And we are super stoked to be the ones to have that honor.
Yes.
And last but not least for our quick intros, Taryn.
Hey, Taryn. You can find me on Twitter at TarzanNoZ, and pretty much nowhere else. I'm a D&D enthusiast, so that's about it. I'm just really happy to be here.
And who are you playing tonight?
Oh, right. Yeah, I'm playing Freshtiag Gallows, a Eladrin Oath of the Ancient Paladin. So let's have fun, everyone.
Excellent. Thanks very much. So our players are divided among 3 of the Fey/Elven courts that exist in this world of Wayrune and interact with the mortals here. And so we'll get a little bit more about what those details are and a little bit further insight into our players, or rather our characters, their characters, and what they think. I'll mix up the order here a little bit. Let's start with Jackie and tell me a little bit more about Zolan.
Well, Zolan is a Aasimar cleric of the Summer Court, and he actually worships the Sun King. And he is a by-the-book traditionalist. He embodies all the religious doctrine that has been taught to him and has been written in the scriptures. He encourages everyone to read about the word of the light. And he also encourages everyone to be pleased and ever so obedient to it. But unfortunately, he's had a very rough past with the clergy. So right now, he's here to be away and not cause any more trouble, unfortunately.
And so Zolan is an Aasimar that has sort of been attracted to this Fey court and its embodiment of summer and light.
Yes.
Excellent. Great. Let's kick it back over to Ken. Tell us a little bit about Anoran.
Yeah, Anaran, Anoran, as it were, is a knight, obviously. So he's dressed in chainmail. His chainmail sort of shimmers, much like the moon, actually. It's a pale shimmer, a silvery shimmering chainmail. He wears a tabard that has the symbol of the Summer Court, the Sun Court, as the case may be, on it. He additionally is armed with a number of weapons, but first you're sort of drawn to this helm that he wears because there's no visor, there's no way to see through it. He just wears almost like this veil over his eyes and walks around almost like blind, maybe? Unsure. But he has obviously sort of shoulder length blonde hair, that's sort of straw that's sort of sticking out. of his helm. He's wearing his shimmering chainmail. On his back, it's very clear to see that he has a long trident that's coming out from over his shoulder. The trident is shaped in almost like a bladed sort of like leaf motif, it almost sort of looks like. He also has at his hip a long sword in a sort of a bejeweled scabbard. The scabbard is a gold. Additionally, he seems to carry a shield that's on his back, as well as hand axes that seem to be very finely fluted of elven make at his belt. He sort of has a very somber and stoic demeanor. However, he is a storied warrior. He's very old, probably over 200 years at this point, and has not crept out from the summer court often. So he is a bit socially awkward, and it's tough for him to take social cues in some ways. Some would call him naive, though he considers himself a diplomat.
I think some people might argue that most of the members of the summer court have problems with social cues. we promise not to hate too much on the summer court. And for those
what
watching,
no one wanted the books for that my character brought.
For those watching, the summer court predominantly organizes among the elves, the high elves. And so they have the Sun King is the Archfey who leads this court, and they're all about summer and goodness and light, and they often feel a little superior. Let's kick it down for the polar opposite of the summer court and light and goodness. Max, tell us a little bit about Nope.
Well, Nope is a little blue goblin who just happened to be wandering in the woods one day when the court of the Queen of Star and Shadow just magically appeared around him as he stood in front of her. He just completely entranced by her beauty, fell to his knees and just pledged himself to her and just took to studying and looking for anything he could do to protect her beauty. He's kind of like a black mage from the original Final Fantasy. He's got a big pointy hat with stars and moons on it and a kind of a matching robe. Kind of a vile looking little thing, but with kind of puppy dog eyes. Likes to fling around insults at the elves, but very easily misconstrued, as most of them are, "You vile, sexy, pointy-eared, long, beautiful-haired creature that looks like you bathe regularly. You disgust me." And he's kind of just here because he follows her around like a little puppy.
That's great. And yes, so our Court of Star and Shadow, led by the Queen of Star and Shadow, organizes many of the dark elves and some of the darker fae. Not evil, but, maybe just a little misunderstood. Let's go around this time to Taryn. Tell us a little bit more about Vestiaire.
Vestiaire Gallows. So Vestiaire is a Eladrin of the Celestial Court. He is of noble birth, obviously. I mean, you would pick that up right off the bat with his flowing, just white locks tied in a 3-part braid that is just gorgeous. I mean, it is oiled regularly, probably 3 times a day, if not 4. He has a breastplate with a few different accoutrements of eyes on it that are drawn and just placed sort of almost randomly, haphazardly even. But at his side is a very trusty rapier that has seen him through a number of encounters with things of the less joyous nature. As well as a shield with a giant eye on it that seems to be following people and doing way more watching than Vestiaire is, as he kind of just lives in the moment, and it kind of it almost seems to be watching his back and watching everything around him, and kind of, if anything of note happens, it kind of pings him and he kind of like looks over in that direction and makes note of it and then goes back to enjoying whatever's going around him. So
and so the Eladrin in this case belong to what I'll call the wild card court, the Celestial Court. The 3 main courts, Star and Shadow, Summer, and we will soon see the Court of the Green, are the three quote-unquote treaty courts that interact with the mortals of this world and only have a tenuous hold within the Feywild itself, whereas the Celestial Court is a bit dominant within the Feywild, and they're kind of more concerned about overseeing what these other, some might even say less pure courts get up to and monitoring their activities. All right, Samantha, again, last but not least, tell us a little bit more about, and I've already lost the pronunciation because I keep in my head wanting to say Ian.
I know, me too. It's okay. You can totally say that because that's honestly how I said it until I was told how it's actually pronounced like a couple days ago. Okay. Ain. Oh, I'm really nervous because you guys did this like whole thing. And I'm like, he has a bow and he shoots things good.
That's good enough.
All right.
That's good enough.
Not done. Not done. All right. So, Ain is a member of the Court of the Green, which kind of oversees the wilderness and so, typical ranger druid domain. He definitely doesn't want to be here. Basically, he drew the short stick and was sent to the delegation. So he's just here because he has to be, basically. And let's see, he's pretty tall, blonde hair, green at the end, very vain, which might be a little unusual for somebody of his nature, but and man, that's all I got to say. He's kind of a jerk.
So Ain's kind of a jerk. Ain's very attractive.
Kind of a jerk. That's it. Yeah, very attractive jerk. But
I think we maybe decided Ain has
just my type.
Okay, we learned some things about Aaron.
Yeah, there you go.
Am I the only one who's not a total ass in this group?
Vestier doesn't think he's an asshole, so there's that.
I mean, Zolan just believes he's doing the right thing, and all for the glory of the light.
Perfect. Okay. See. Oh, there we go. I thought Sam froze for a moment. So anything else we should know about Ain?
For a second there. That's all I know myself. So we'll just see how he comes along.
Discovery through play is often the best.
I'm totally like freeform, make it up as I go along.
That's the best way. Do it. That's perfect.
That's all we ever do.
We'll see what happens.
That's how I DM. So it's all good.
That's how we all DM, really. If anybody says different, they're lying and trying to sell you something.
Wait, we have plans? What?
Plans happen? No.
Oh, no.
Okay, so to set the context, which our players know but our viewers don't, the reason the three courts have gathered together is that it is the eve of the convergence, when the three moons of Weyrun all line up in the sky once a year. And the three treaty courts, that's the Summer Court, the Court of Stars, and the Court of the Green, get together every year with a delegation from the Grand Duke of Serat, a rich and powerful human kingdom, to re-sign the Treaty of Arcad. They do this on a yearly basis to reaffirm their sort of mutual friendship and alliance, as it were. And the Celestial Court is here to oversee that, sort of as arbiters of law and, all that jazz as it pertains to the Fae. That happens tomorrow. But what has happened tonight is a murder most foul. One of the young delegates from the Summer Court, Thalon, a young female elf, has been found dead in her rooms, and some of her diplomatic documents have been taken. The Fey Courts tend to meet a little bit before they meet with the Human Court, so they can present a unified front. As one can imagine, while they mostly get along, they have their disagreements. And so in order to make sure that this investigation proceeds fairly, members of all courts, including the Celestial Court, have been invited to participate. And so you, as junior fixers and, relative adventurous types, have been seconded to this investigation. So where we will start is outside of Thalin's rooms, which are currently being guarded by two of the gendarmes among the Fey Court. One of them is a large, blue-skinned troll named Burr, who originally hailed from the court of Star and Shadow. But of course, all of the gendarmes are sort of separated in terms of their allegiance while they pertain to their greater duties to the Fey Courts as a whole. The second of the two gendarmes who stands outside the room is Eleanor. She's a lean young elven female. Both are dressed in official regalia, which is a tabard with the symbology of all three of the treaty courts. There is a prominent sun, a prominent star and a moon, and there is the stag's head of the Court of the Green. They seem to be looking rather implacid, standing with tall halberds, curled and shaped in viney motifs that they have crossed across the door, and they're kind of shepherding back the rubberneckers who are trying to peek in and gain a look of the room. But you're ushered forward by a young attendant, a little gnome who sort of dances ahead of you in brightly colored gear, waving in a rather official-looking letter that he starts hopping up and down, waving in the faces of the two gendarmes. Burr sort of ignores him, and Eleanor pokes it down to read it, kind of quickly scans it, looks up, sort of looks at you each with a little bit of disbelief as she takes in the sort of motley assemblage, and then hands the letter back to the gnome. So, you're who they sent to investigate this little incident.
Yeah, I made that face too.
A death of the member of the summer court is no mere incident.
No, it is not.
Of course, my apologies. And luckily we have representatives from all three, and of course, and nods at Vestiaire, and of course, the Celestial Court as well. We can give you access and can answer any questions that you may have, although of course we know very little. We have just been tasked with guarding the room all day, but nevertheless, we are at your disposal.
Vestiaire, I've heard of you. Your reputation precedes you.
As it should, yes. It's a pleasure to meet you too, as well, Enron. Your name precedes you as well. But I believe that the moment is past for introductions. I believe we should investigate the room. It's betwixt upon us that we see what has happened to this poor lady.
I've never seen so much impatience in one of the Celestial Court. Maybe from a goblin, but never.
Goblin where?
Down here, pretty boy.
Oh, who said that? Oh, hello. Pleasure. It's
Don't make me uppercut your junk, because I will.
That's quite violent. As someone of the noble family, I can't even understand quite why you would breach that subject. But as it were, these two are at our behest. So let's begin the investigation, shall we? It rests upon the three of your courts to see where this goes. I'm just here to observe.
Yeah, just messing with you, buddy. What, Pat?
Goblin
Don't touch me there.
Goblin humor. There's no accounting for it.
That's fair.
It's to be expected. Now, let us illuminate the situation.
Was that a pun?
What are puns?
Oh, you're a naive one, aren't you?
No, all words are the truth of the light.
You hear this sort of sonorous chuckle, and you look over, and Burr, the troll, is sort of just like laughing at that. But his voice, it can't, gravelly doesn't quite capture it. It sounds like boulders kind of tumbling together as he chuckles from deep in his belly. And he looks over at the group and just says, "So, would you like to see the room where it happened?"
Oh, yes, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah, lead the way, Anoran.
I sort of look at my compatriot and say, I am in no rush. Does anyone else wish to lead?
I'll go. I step
follow.
up past everybody.
Yep, Bird
And
nods to you.
I'm gonna wait for him to just open the door for me.
Yeah, so he smoothly steps aside and gives a little bow as you nominate yourself to go first. And he reaches around behind him and pushes open the door. Thelon's quarters
Alright.
through here.
All right. So I nod my thanks and totally ignore the others as I step inside. Is there anything I can see, like, what do I see immediately as I come in?
Absolutely. So it
Like-
is the... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, there was a murder scene here. So what does the murder scene look like?
Yeah.
Basic.
So,
No, I'm not.
yeah. So the quick, as you glance over for the quick overview, the body is pretty immediately apparent. So you come in, the
Oh, it's
room's
still there.
relatively small. Yes, they've kept everything intact. The murder has only happened, the body's only been found in the last couple of hours. And she is laying face down, sort of arms and limbs, akimbo a little bit, with her gowns, which are cream and gold, are sort of haphazardly spread out around her. In the small of her back, you can see just a small blood stain and, what looks like an obvious penetrating wound is kind of immediately apparent, but it looks pretty neat and clean. The rest of the room seems relatively intact. There isn't really an immediate sign of a struggle. Nothing's knocked over or obviously out of place. But it's also decorated in rich creams and golds and smells quite lovely. Sort of honey, morning dew, and the smell of sunshine on green grass.
And blood.
Yeah, exactly. How does
Okay.
Ain react to a dead body, like being confronted with a dead body?
It's a little bit of a juxtaposition.
Yeah. Being a hunter, I'm not unaccustomed to the appearance of dead animals. But this is slightly different. Still, I'm going to walk over and check out that wound. I want to see, I want to gauge the size, and I want to see if I can tell, what type of piercing damage it was.
Absolutely. So why don't you go ahead, and I'm assuming in your capacity as a hunter that you're leveraging survival and your skills you've seen in similar animals, or if you have medicine, you can use medicine.
I'll go with survival for sure. Oh my god. Cool. So I got a 7.
All right.
Yeah.
First roll of the game.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Start us off right. Start us off right.
It's a bloody hole. All right.
Excellent. Yes.
All
There's
right.
a rich tradition on variant rolls of getting totals of 8s or rolling 8s. But now with the Fey, maybe the number 7 will bear particular significance.
Lucky 7.
I don't know if it's lucky in this case, but we'll see.
All right. Well, what do I get for a 7? Anything?
So the one thing I can definitely tell you is the hole is neat. It appears sort of triangular shaped. And it definitely does not look like an arrow wound. You've seen arrows and, maybe even to a lesser extent crossbow bolts. And neither one of those seems to match up with this wound.
Okay. I'm going to look at my companion's weapons, visible weapons, real quick. Just glance over there. I kind of side-eye them just to be sure.
Yeah, I come into the room.
You know.
I come in and I illuminate with an orb of light with a light cantrip.
Okay. Yeah, so you add it's sort of like a harsh fluorescent light immediately appears, but then it morphs into sort of nice, natural, almost sunlight. So it sheds over the room. The light does reflect off of many of the surfaces. Any of the stonework appears to be creamy marble. There's a lot of gold and silver around the room. It's pretty richly decorated. There's fresh flowers. The bed appears to be tidily made. Ain, why don't you give me a perception check in terms of your scoping out of your companion's weaponry?
Not a 2.
What? I'm confused by not one.
16? Excellent. Well, at least any obvious weapons you can see. I think we have a mix of a trident. I heard a trident earlier. There is a rapier. What does everyone else have for at least outwardly worn weapons, and potentially any ones that are not too subtly hidden?
Got a gnarled quarterstaff.
A gnarled quarterstaff.
Zoran has a mace and also a boomerang made visible, and it's hanging by a the boomerang's hanging off of a sash that's wrapped around his scale mail.
Anaran has a longsword, a trident, and 2 hand axes.
Right, and the hand axes, yes, and the longsword.
Yep. Vestios just got the rapier. That's the only thing he really needs. So besides his good looks, of course.
And Nope's gonna walk over to the table where you say it looked ransacked, and we know that some papers were taken.
So it doesn't look obviously ransacked in terms of things being knocked over or rifled through, but there is almost like a messenger bag, like a leather attache case sort of thing that's sitting on the desk area, and it's open, and Burr kind of leans back inside and says, her superiors checked the diplomatic pouch and let us know that some documents were missing.
Is there a standard like letterhead, or
I will go over to the diplomatic pouch and begin inspecting it.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
Okay, so I think the two of you, Nope and Anaran, are investigating that. If one of you wants to take the lead, the other one can help and offer that one advantage. Or if you're competing, you can both roll, and we'll see what people see.
Definitely competing.
I think it's obvious that we're both reaching for it at the same time, or is Nope more like looking at it from afar? Because I'm going to like manhandle. Like I'm going to.
He walked right up to it because he's trying to.
I think you were both kind of going for it.
Got it. As I see Nope going for it, Anaran sort of stops and just watches. And I will be happy to aid Nope in this as I sort of look at it just from more afar, I guess.
Okay.
And I'm investigating to see if it just looks like it all kind of comes from the same stack of papers, just a few were removed, or is there any standard that sets it that would make missing notes? I've got the locate object spell, and I'm going to see if there's anything that might give me a clue in on how to find these papers.
Okay.
So my investigation is 14.
Don't forget to roll with advantage.
An advantage, yes, from Anaran's assistance.
Your adventures helped not. So total of 14.
Of 14. Okay. So when you look at the stack of papers, they do indeed all have sort of an official letterhead, and they're stamped in the bottom with a wax seal with this golden sunburst, which is the typical motif of the summer court. Looking through them, they do appear to be written in different hands. There's different signatures on them, but they do all seem like they're officially sort of within court communiques.
Okay. Anything with her signature on it? So I can get an idea.
Nothing with Thalin's signature. They're all mostly communiques back and forth between other people.
Okay. But that's seal handy. Okay.
Yeah, and Thalin's a junior diplomat, so she's probably, carrying lots of things for other people.
Does it look like she was robbed of anything else?
Zolan, what are you doing?
I was actually gonna do a full medical examination on the dead body.
Okay, well, before he does that, I would like to inform him. I took a look at this. I think she was stabbed.
Zolan goes, that makes sense. I see your point.
Nice.
All right. Zolan, go ahead and give me a medicine check, and I'm going to give you advantage because Ain has provided you with information that she gathered from her query. An 8.
All right, so advantage. I rolled a natural 20.
And
by the way, guys, it's my Fey dice.
Even better. Yes, I don't have anything great to play trumpets or anything on stream. I'll have to get that kind of thing set up. So with your natural 20, and I'm going to assume much higher than that with your bonuses, you're checking out the wound. Yep.
Go ahead, sorry.
So you go ahead, you kind of inspect the body, turn it over and that sort of thing. You do find some defensive wounds on her hands, some small cuts and scrapes, but the wound on the back, and you can see penetrates through all the way to the front, continues, but it's a smaller wound on the front. So it does appear she was stabbed from behind. The wound is triangular. It looks like it looks like a little too small to be a rapier. You're assuming it was actually a dagger, like a poignard or that kind of thing, like a very specialized thrusting, like a stiletto, but long enough to penetrate completely through.
Well, we're either looking for more than one assailant, probably, because she was defending herself, and then somebody stabbed her in the back.
I look at Nope. Has he put down the attaché pouch on the papers?
Yes.
Cool. I will pick them up.
Okay.
Well, my friend, it could very well be that she didn't know her assailant was behind her, right?
Which means it would be someone she trusted.
Or someone she didn't think was in the room, right?
That's also very true.
Normally, there is a point of entry.
Yes, it's called a door. Yes.
Are there more than one here?
There is also a window, and the window is indeed open, a crack, letting in the fresh air from the wilderness and forest outside to come through.
And murderous, yes.
Yes.
Vestiaire is just kind of nonchalantly just hanging out by the door, kind of leaning against the door frame and letting his shield do the looking. So he's kind of just hanging back, got his shield kind of like moving around a little bit around the room and just nonchalantly just watching everybody else hanging out, making sure they don't, murder anybody else.
Can I go back to the troll?
Absolutely.
Okay. Are her superiors available to chat a little bit?
Like Burr's superiors or your superiors?
Nope, the woman who was murdered.
Dalen's.
Yes. So the summer court. An interesting little thing that we sometimes use are icon dice, which are D6s. In this case, they represent your tie to the Fey. You'll all have 4 of these D6s that you can use. And you can use them for various things. You can use them for re-rolls and things like that. But you can also use them to see what resources you might have available. So why don't you go ahead and roll me one of those d6s, if you would like. If it comes up as a 5 or a 6, you can get some access to her superiors by leveraging your connection through your own court.
6.
Nice.
Excellent. And a 6 is a straight success. A 5 is a success, but often with a complication thrown in. So yes, you kind of talk to Burr for a little bit. You do it through leveraging the Court of the Green and sort of putting in a request. And you do, you wait sort of a few minutes, but somebody basically sends Thelen's immediate superior to come to speak to you. And her name is Fee.
As we're waiting for Fee to arrive, I move over to the dead body. I'm looking at Phelan very closely. It's weird because the helm that I have on, again, my eyes are sort of covered. So it's just really my mouth that you're seeing sort of tighten in this sort of pensive pucker, that seeing this member of my court dead before me, realizing the danger of this, that the entire treaty ceremony is now in danger, depending on who has done this. I sort of look around more sort of closely at my companions, hoping that I can trust them. And I very securely stow the very important attaché papers that are still in this pouch of diplomacy within my own items.
Excellent. Okay, so you tuck those away because, of course, there could be important and confidential information there that you wouldn't want to get out.
You are trying to hide something there, Aaron.
I am making sure that this property of the Summer Court returns to where it belongs.
I mean, it could be that, or you could just be trying to hide something from the rest of us.
It is true. I am hiding something. I am
Hide
hiding.
your eyes, yes.
I am hiding. If that concerns you, I can remove my helm if you are so uncomfortable.
No, it's nothing. I just, making conversation.
Well, it is true. I do not worship the sun as a deity. I worship the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least the moon bow. And I sort of smile at that.
Nope's gonna wander out to go by Ain and just look up at him and go,
The other ones are pretty insane. You seem pretty easy. I don't trust them.
Nope's making a pass. Got it.
I don't think
The
that
Sun Court's already
the
fighting.
opposite of insane, but and as long as everybody, can just stay out of my way, you included. I don't want to step on you. No offense, but
I'm used to it.
who's calling over the Sun Court here? This guy, not these other guys that are actually in the Sun Court. So I hereby appoint myself leader of this investigation.
And that's why I trust you.
All right. Yes. I'm very pleased with this development.
Zolan walks over to so Zolan walks over to Nope and Ian. I need some enlightenment, if you don't mind.
I think that's something you can handle yourself.
Oh, I'm quite enlightened, thank you. But no, I require some. What's the word I'm looking for? Collaboration. That's correct. I need some other minds that think more shifty and shadowy than I. So, and I gesture over back to the window. What's the likelihood that our assailant used this as an entry point and an exit?
Well, how high up is it? How high are we?
So this is the ground floor, and the
Okay.
window is set at kind of a relatively normal ground floor height. So it would be relatively easy for someone to both come in or to egress through the window.
Okay, how does the window open and close?
It is like that you push open. It's currently just kind of popped open, just one window, sort of halfway.
So it has shutters.
Yeah, basically they're some sort of crystalline material, but yeah, they push open sort of in that style.
Okay.
Is it a big window, or is it like, would it take someone small to get through?
No, I'd
Is
say
there a latch?
Yes.
On the inside?
There is a latch on the inside.
Okay, is it broken?
It does not appear to be.
Is it warm tonight? Is it just a warm night in general that someone would normally have their window open?
It is, yes.
I'm going to
Cool.
go with the
Can I-
assumption that the...
Can I like? Oh, go ahead. Nope.
Nope. I'm just going to agree with the thought that... sorry, the forest air doesn't do good for my throat. I'm going to assume that this is going to go with the assumption that this assailant was there welcome. We got to find out who would have been invited in. Could have been anyone. So to be trusted, would the Sun Court just allow in someone from the Court of Green? Or
Nope, give me an
my court?
Arcana check.
I highly doubt it.
Arcana, yeah, one of my good ones. Natural 20.
Yeah.
So that's a 12 for Arcana of plus 26.
Okay, so you know, of course, that being surrounded by Fey creatures, Eladrin, various of the like Fey, creatures with various levels of magical ability, various methods of teleportation and things like that are also very common.
There's that.
I begin
There must be someone
searching.
who can teleport.
I begin investigating the entire room, like the walls, the floors. What kind of room is this? It's a bedroom or like a sitting room,
Yeah.
or
It's basic. It's kind of like a hotel room where it's like a bed and there's a little seating area.
Got
There's
it.
a bureau and a desk. Yeah,
Got
so like a self-contained little room.
I look over at the companions near the window and I say, perhaps search for the tracks below it.
All right. So you go ahead and give me an investigation check for your room, and we will go over as well to Ain, who is waiting for Fee to show up. And she does. Sort of an older elven woman, sort of approaching, kind of transforming perhaps into a Fey. Long silvery hair, sort of sun-burnished skin, longer kind of pointed ears, vaguely reminiscent of an Eladrin, but leaning a little bit more towards the High Elves, kind of in between, in a robin's egg blue gown with silver and gold trim, bustles up. Yes, so shocking to hear of Thelen. I will help gladly in any way that I can.
Sorry for your loss. Now,
Thelen was
that being
a
said-
good, diligent employee.
diligent employee. So, what kind of information was she holding that people were really after? Just gonna jump right in.
And she kind of
Gonna ask that.
she kind of takes a step back and puts her hand over her mouth, and it seems like she's a little shocked at such a direct request. And she just says, well, I'm not at liberty to disclose all of the secrets that she may have had positions
That
of
is
my court in
impeding the
negotiation.
investigation, ma'am. With due respect.
Give me a persuasion check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9.
She kind of just, she grimaces a little bit. I would love to tell you what I can, but certain matters are, of course, sacred and bound by oath to the court, and I could not disclose them short of permission from the king. However, Thelen
So,
was a relatively junior member of the delegation. I cannot imagine her carrying information that anyone would want to kill her over.
so what you're telling me then is that her life was not of enough worth to you for you to, go ahead and let us know what we need to know. Would you prefer to talk to somebody from the Sun Court? Because I'm pretty sure that this guy over here
Well,
might be more your speed, but this is really stuff we need to know.
I certainly could disclose perhaps more to a member of my own court, although even then, many things they would not necessarily be cleared. But Zolan, I recognize you around.
Yes, it is good to see you again. And Zolan bows. Please, we would like to, if you could disclose what you can tell us about
This help.
any way you can tell us. And then I put out the holy book of the Sun King, please, for the betterment of us all.
Oh, by the holy book of the Sun King. Oh, man.
Zolan, go ahead and give me a persuasion check as well, but do so with advantage.
Okay. Okay, so I rolled a natural 16, and you said persuasion, 19 total.
19. Okay. So you can see her shoulders sort of sag with a little bit of resignation. And she says, Thalen was primarily responsible for our trade positions with the humans. Something that does not interest the other courts nearly as much as with us.
Do you know of any other specifics within those documents?
I know that there were some proposals for trade outposts outside the forest with some of the merchants and the merchants' guilds. But I, like I said, I can't imagine any of those being worth murdering someone over.
Excuse me for a second, but Vestia
Yes.
Gallows here of the Celestial Court, of course.
Of course.
I have a question for you. Does the trade deals, do they deal only with just the Summer Court, or do they deal with the rest of the Treaty Court as well?
Why would they deal with the other courts?
I mean, this is a treaty after all, correct? Zolan.
Yes, these agreements were specific just for our interactions with the human merchants. The Treaty of Arcad gives the merchant lords of Serat exclusive trade deals with all three courts. It is my understanding that the Court of the Green has little interest in mercantile pursuits, and the Court of Star and Shadow prefers to do their business in a more ad hoc one-on-one capacity, whereas we wish to present a more unified front for ease of commerce with the humans.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is that it wouldn't necessarily be of benefit for the others to deal with any sort of business in this regard. So it might be someone on the human side, perhaps, that's once this dead.
Perhaps the
Or
merchant
out of the way,
lords-
at least.
The merchant lords are ever scheming amongst themselves.
Are there any other delegates from the Sun Court here? Any other junior delegates that she might have been close with?
Well, I believe I don't know about other delegates. Alora's from your court. I do know that she was speaking with Alora, a delegate from the Court of the Green, earlier today.
All right.
I was informed that that discussion ended on a rather heated note.
Surely not a murderous one.
Yeah, I was going to say, that seems quite pointed. You wouldn't be trying to hide anything from us, would you? That might go badly in your dealings with other courts at some point.
No, of course not. As I said, there are details that are difficult for me to judge whether I can disclose, but I'm
wouldn't
not
want to-
trying to obfuscate or hide anything that I feel would be pertinent.
Sure. I'm sure the Celestial Court won't see your hesitant to provide us with any information we might need in this investigation as anything other than just your what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm really lost for words at the moment, but it's really just you obviously understand what I'm saying.
Yes, and we would not wish to anger the Celestial Court, of course.
Yes, of course.
I believe her.
To intimidate her, by the way, if that wasn't clear enough.
Yeah, and go ahead and make an intimidation roll.
But Vestier, she answered truthfully through the book.
That was a 16, by the way.
A 16, okay. Yeah, and she seems a little taken aback, sort of, at the mere suggestion that she would do anything to anger the Celestial Court.
Fair. Just checking, just doing my my basis here. So, continue. You're doing fine work.
I've been listening in as I've been investigating the room around me.
Yes.
I'm not sure if I'm done doing that yet, but I just wanted to...
Yes, I think this would be a good opportunity for that investigation.
Great. I got a gentle person's 20.
A gentleman's 20, a gentle person's 20, yes. Okay, so as you sort of, scanned, poking through the room, it was indeed quite neat and tidy, although you did find two things of interest. Tucked underneath the bed, in a far corner, was a small pouch full of gold coins.
Oh.
Those gold coins all had on one side a moon and star, and on the other the profile of a woman with a crown. You recognize these as coins that belong to the Court of Star and Shadow. Tucked into a drawer of the bureau was a small journal. Flipping through it, most of it seemed kind of mundane. But there was a note at the end about needing to clear things up with Alora.
I go ahead and toss the pouch of gold to Nope and say, very interesting findings.
Why would someone leave this behind?
Indeed. Why would someone leave this behind?
I believe it's called payment.
It's a setup.
Usually someone gives gold in exchange for, purchases, services, goods, that kind of thing. I really feel like you guys should know this. I mean, it is Court of Stars gold, right?
I'm just wondering if you're suggesting that somebody paid her to sit there and be killed by an assassin. I don't understand where you're coming from with this. Are you trying to say this implies that my court has anything to do with this? Or are you just paying me for services unrendered yet? You want to go back?
Oh, services have been rendered, let's be honest.
I'm looking at this and I'm thinking we should probably go and see this Alora. Would she be the one who has the Court of Green's version of these trade deals? Even though they don't trade so much, maybe they might be a target as well.
I would never dream of holding on to the property of your queen, so I'm happy to return it to you. However, it is very suspect that a member of your court would be paying off a member of the summer court.
These dealings are pretty much touch and go. I mean, this is normal, right? We're
A
used
lot
to
of
this.
pointing his hand at these things.
As someone who oversees these things as they go on, betwixt the years, it's not uncommon for gold to change hands between court. I mean, not my court, obviously. We're pretty much out of this. We just oversee, right?
I heard you didn't even have coinage.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. Kind of just gives you a side eye, just like along with the shield, he also like squints at you. So,
Ain, a little bit of information that you would know. Alora is indeed part of the contingent from the Court of the Green. She's a member of the Green Company, which is a sort of military arm, as it were, of the court. Specifically, she's here basically as a guard. She works sort of protecting the huntsman, who is the archfey who rules the Court of the Green. He's not here yet, but she's here sort of as the advanced team.
Yep.
Is she hot? Oh yeah, she definitely is.
All right.
like sun brown skin, leanly muscled from just years of being outdoors.
Sweet.
But like in a rugged kind of way. I think you definitely know her.
All right.
But she's got that sort of she's got calluses on her hands, and she's got a few sun wrinkles and that sort of thing.
Cool.
So she's
I have
like
none
rugged.
of that, but that's some people are into that.
so Ain, are you going to introduce us to the new friend here?
She's not in here, right?
She's not here yet. But you kind of have.
She
idea
arrives,
where you can
obviously,
find
right?
her. Someone could send for her, certainly.
Sure, I'll send for her. We're
Okay.
buddies.
Maybe it's best if we visit her directly instead of tipping her off that we're looking for her.
Agreed.
So instead we show up and looking for her.
Yes, let's go find her.
Somehow that's more intimidating.
Let the
the
light
point.
guide us.
The light meaning a torch, right? That's what we're following. Somebody's got a torch.
No, it's the light inside of you.
He looks down at
Real
his chest and just looks back at you like, what the heck?
I believe he is referring to why you can see in the dark.
Oh, like my eyes. That's Zolan. You're a strange man. I like that.
Okay, where's the guy that appointed me leader? You. Nope. Come on, let's go find this girl. If that's how we're doing this.
Cool, let's go find her.
All right, are we done in this room?
Seems like it.
Stabbing.
Oh, before we go,
Secret
I will leave a copy of the Holy Text of the Light with Burr. Please take heed and read these words with vigor.
Burr
Or you
takes
don't
the
have to.
book and sort of nods at
Can he
you
read?
respectfully, and he flips it open, and he looks, and then he turns it, and you realize he's looking at it upside down. And he's kind of flipping through. He stops at some pictures and reorients it. Pretty.
As we're going by, I'm gonna just reach out my hand and say, "Don't eat it all at once. Up top, bro."
Ah, yes. Another convert.
And they, as you exit the room, the two gendarmes, Burr and Elanaril, sort of snap to attention, kind of close the door behind you, cross their halberds in front of it again to keep it secure. And
You guys been here the whole time?
You do realize the windows
Since the
open, right?
murder? or
since it was
before?
discovered.
Just
No,
checking.
not before.
I trust you.
Oh, window. Oh, good point.
Yeah, that's something you probably should take a look at. Yeah.
Burr kind of just opens the door again and shuffles in. You hear the door being closed, or the window being closed and latched, and then he comes back out. You smart.
Well, I didn't get you on my looks, did I? That's a true question. Yes, I did. First, you're just gonna like gallow and stuff. Words everyone.
Amazing.
Can he come with us? Can we take Fur with us?
Burr is a busy man.
Burr ordered
Right.
to do as told.
Imagining
Come
the
with
Monty
you,
Python
lass.
scene of you two stay here and he doesn't leave.
Which I just watched on the weekend.
Hey.
It's a good movie.
All right, so yes, Ain, you know where Alora's quarters are in sort of the section of the, for lack of a better word, compound that your court has taken over.
Okay. So I want to lead everybody there, and I walk with very long and purposeful strides, because I mean business. And I'd like to kind of keep an eye out for anything that's going on around us as we head that way. But I assume this area is kind of vacant because of the murder.
Yeah, so give me a perception check.
18.
Okay.
Nice.
So, at least in this section, which is the section of the summer court, there's a lot of groups of small people sort of talking together in that sort of like, I wonder what's going on. And they're like looking very pointedly at everybody and sort of gossiping about all of the things going on. It's a mix of elves and Fey creatures. There's people in very elaborate gowns and sort of almost suits, basically. And they're all clustered together in these small knots. As you exit out of this area and start heading into where the green, Court of the Green is stationed, everything gets a little bit more relaxed. There's clearly people looking at you, but people are kind of lounging around. It's not as elaborate. There's a lot of people in more rustic garb. There's members of the Wild Hunt here, so there are a number of Fey with, antlered crests that they're wearing on their helms, or they literally have antlers growing out of their head. There's Fearbowl.
We are so badass.
Yeah, there's some Fearbowl around. There's quite a lot of people wearing whatever sort of armor or accoutrements they wear. They quite often have a tabard or some other device that has a stag's head prominently displayed on it. And there's a lot more obvious weaponry. Sort of in the summer court area, there was people with like rapiers and, long swords and very elegant, whereas here there's people openly carrying bows on their backs and spears and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's definitely a more rustic, down to business area. There's a lot of trees and foliage, and it's a very more natural type environment. And you wend your way through right to Alora's quarters.
Okay. I'm just gonna.
You hear just a minute from inside, and you wait, kind of couple of pauses, and then the door cracks open. Alora looks out. Sun-darkened skin. Her hair is, kind of a light brown color, faded a bit from the sun. Tall and lean. She's clad in leathers, again, still wearing the tabard with the device of the huntsman on it. And she just kind of leaks out. Her face breaks into a bit of a smile. Ain, what can I do for you?
Listen, somebody was killed. And yeah, right? What is even going on? Like,
And she
I didn't want to be here. I
little
certainly
bit.
don't want to be investigating a murder, but here we are, Fucking
I
delegations
got
anyway.
stuck with guard duty.
Well,
At least you're doing something a little more exciting. Investigating a murder. Come on.
Well, it wasn't what I was expecting to happen, but I'm not complaining. Well, I mean, that sounds terrible. Okay, it's very sad that she was murdered. But wow. Okay, I didn't do it. Anyway, we heard that.
You're also definitely complaining, Ain. I mean, you literally just said you didn't want to be investigating a murder. Just pointing that out.
She opens the door a little bit more and kind of looks around and sees everyone else. So friends, investigation. All right. Why don't you
That's
guys
loose.
come in?
Superiors,
And-
just celestial court.
Whoa.
Just
Well,
Self-appointed leader.
Clearly.
None is
Somewhat-
higher than the light.
Well,
Listen, buddy.
it is
What do you
nighttime,
do?
so really
You-
the light's behind
you-
us.
Can you read that book for a second? Like, right.
And so she pushes open the door and kind of turns around. It's like, come on in. And she goes over to where the, sort of a seating area is. And she plops down in it very casually. She pops her feet up on a table in front of her and crosses one booted foot over the other. Leans back, fingers laced behind her head. So, what can Alora do for you?
Is this another hotel room, Dan?
Similar, yeah, but this one,
different kind of hotel
as
room.
opposed to be like richly decorated, in like creams and golds, is very much kind of reminiscent of a hunting lodge if the hunting lodge was actually placed outside. So take like a hunting lodge style room, but place it in a forest glade, and that's kind of reminiscent of what you would be seeing.
Does Alora have any arms or armor?
So as you look around the room, she doesn't, she's wearing kind of leathers still, but she, other than a fairly large, somewhere between a dagger and a short sword that's kind of belted at her side, as you look around, there's a bow, shield and spear, and a long sword that are all kind of on a weapons rack.
Wow, this hotel room comes with a weapons rack. They know my people. All right.
Yeah.
So, listen, we heard that you were the last talking to the girl. And,
And by girl, she means Phelan of the Summer Court.
the girl.
The murder victim, yeah.
All right. So
You weren't
I
supposed to
know-
tell her that.
I know why you're here. I suppose, if it was Thalen that's murdered, it's only natural that you would end up here. Yeah, we had an argument earlier. Thalen owed me a bunch of money. And I wanted it
Bunch
back.
of money.
That's it.
Well,
That's
see,
literally
What did she owe you money for?
I like to gamble. Thalen likes to
I feel that.
gamble. Lots of people like to gamble, but Thalen's problem was she wasn't very good at gambling.
I would like to insight check
How
the
did you
scenario
pay?
that's going on.
Absolutely.
Same.
Go ahead and give me an insight check. Yes, both of you.
That is a
How did you
17.
That is
17.
a let me see, insight. That will be a 22.
Oh, fine. Fine, Zolan.
Both of you, she seems like she is being quite upfront and straightforward.
Ooh.
She really doesn't seem like a dissembling type.
I continue saying, very well. Who were you and Phelan gambling with?
Well, we were gambling with some of the trolls. By the way, always gamble with the troll. Like, they do not have a good poker face. Those guys just can't lie to save their scaly hides. I don't know, there were some goblins that were there.
Not me.
None of the prissy folk. No offense intended. And she kind of waves at Anaran, Zolan, and Vestiaire. It was not the upper crust. Just us get in and get it done types, as it were. Boots in the mud, boots on the ground, that sort of thing.
Where?
Where? Oh, out back behind the kitchens. That's where last night's game was. There was some.
An odd place
There
to
was
be
some
having
rather
it. Is
potent goblin
gambling
wine.
frowned upon?
No, but the upper crust
Just
types
hanging out
don't
behind
like.
the kitchen.
Yeah, well, the upper crust type just doesn't really like it when we do it.
The kitchen here, does each court have, or each area have its own kind of mess hall? Or
Oh
is
yeah,
the-
we do. This was kind of behind the main feast hall.
Okay.
There's like a area
Did you
with some
win anything?
tables. Did I win? I won a lot, which is why Thalen owed me money.
And what were you
Did you win
gambling
any
on?
money?
What was the game of chance?
Oh, well, you see, we started out with cards and dice, but that got a little boring. And then it moved on to gambling on some trick arrow shots, which, as you do. But then we got a couple of the Fae really drunk and started gambling on which of them was going to start changing the area around us first and laying bets on, kind of that emotional resonance. I won when one of the light Fey Lords got real sick and was going to puke and everything twisted and warped, which ended up incidentally causing a lot of other people to puke.
Lovely.
That sounds like quite an event. But
Been
I
there,
believe,
done that.
haven't we all? Nope.
Well, the Goblin wine really didn't help. That stuff's pretty nasty.
It's delicious.
It literally is an anti-acid. So, but if this was something over money, you'd think the room would be a bit more ransacked, right, group? I mean, they would have found the Court of Stars gold.
I mean, I wanted my money, don't get me wrong, and, I was a little mad at Thalen that she supposedly didn't have it. But, I mean, why would I kill her? Then if she didn't have the money, I'm definitely not going to get paid.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we did find some gold in her room, so I'm saying that if you would have killed her, we wouldn't have found the gold in the room because it would have been ransacked. So
she
I'm
was
just
holding out on
deducing
me.
here. I mean, based on findings, it might have come after your conversation.
All right, well...
Do you know if Thalen owed money to anyone else?
Or
I don't...
received money from anyone from the Court of Stars?
Well, that's why I'm a little... Oh, the Court of Stars.
Stars. No, stars.
Wait, say that
with
again,
stars.
but slower?
Court of Stars.
Slower?
Stars.
One more time.
No, you're just messing with me. I'm gonna...
Star?
Vestia kind of like...
This is why you green folk are all right with me.
I'm just messing with you. Well, that does ring a bell now that you mention it. I mean, look, if she actually had the money and didn't pay me, I'm kind of mad about that, especially since now she's dead, and I'm probably never going to get that money, but, whatever. But you mentioned the Court of Stars, and Thalen did mention that she had to go see a hag about a dog or something. I don't know.
About a dog, huh?
Yeah,
Which
I'm not quite
which
sure
hag?
what the expression is. Well, the only hag in town, Granny Agatha Oozepimple's coven.
Wait, what was that
That
again?
is
One more time. One more time, please. For those of us
I love
that
Old Eggy.
Granny
Aggie.
Agatha. Yeah, or Granny Aggie if you know her. I mean, I wouldn't
I'm
want to call her
sorry.
that
What was the
uninvited.
middle name on that? Well, what did you say in between that? In betwixt, even.
Or you mean after? Granny
No.
Agatha Oozepimple.
Ooze pimples, right?
Yeah.
Just checking.
She's a
Just
beach.
checking.
Yeah. I mean, most people just call her Granny Agatha.
I'm calling her Uzi.
What's the?
He makes a really good apple strudel.
I just want to back up for a second. Was money the only thing at stake in these games?
In the gambling?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how fun would it be if we only gambled with money?
Right. So what else was up for grabs? Secrets?
Oh,
Information?
well, secrets, but apparently we all had agreed nothing to do with the treaty negotiations. That wouldn't really be fair. And, fair play. There were some periods of servitude bandied about. There was a few wagers of those. It's always handy when someone has to serve you at court for a year and a day. I didn't win any of those. Thalen didn't gamble any of that away either. She stuck to money, which, I mean, she didn't have, so she would have been better off gambling some time served.
And any humans with you?
No, as far as I know, they don't arrive until tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Ability.
We like to have some time
Yes.
amongst ourselves. I mean, there's only so much we can take of those folks.
Yeah, fair enough.
Like,
All right.
boring, flighty, come on.
Nope's gonna approach and hold out the entire bag and just go,
I'm sorry for your loss.
The
bag of gold.
And she takes
I
it and looks
imagine note
inside.
means literally her loss of money. So
Yes.
I pipe up saying that is evidence, you know.
But is it? We don't know.
it's really just some.
I have kept a coin.
It should just about cover her debt.
We now know who has it.
So we
Well, I
can
won't-
definitely just check that gold, right?
I won't
kept a coin.
spend it.
I'm kind of all right, but I have a couple. I have a couple more questions before we go.
Oh.
Actually, sorry.
Of course, Ain. No, of course.
No.
Ain ain't done. That's for sure. Sorry, I had to.
I mean, how much drinking was going on?
Well,
How many? Like,
you
You
know
know.
me, right?
I know you.
We've shared some brews.
This is why I had to ask.
There
Because-
was a lot.
I'm trying to. I'm. There's gambling and theft, and I'm trying to reconcile the two, and it's not really happening.
And there was
Just-
dancing. There was dancing on tables.
Yeah, it sounds like a great time. Sorry, I missed it. Let me know next time you
I'll
Decide
be
to
sure. I'll be sure.
throw some
to,
dice and drink some ale.
Yeah.
All right. Just trying to. Is there anybody else you talk to of interest?
I mean, there was a lot of people gambling.
Yeah, just worried we're barking up the wrong tree.
We
But,
must speak with Granny Agatha next.
Must is a strong word, but one you could use. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we have to ask of Allura. Thank you so much. Sorry
I mean,
to bother you.
The only,
I'm not-
the only other,
not
the
sorry
only
at
other
all.
person that I think that she had any major sort of interactions with while gambling that I can think of was Tum Tum, one of the
Tum Tum.
goblins.
Dum dum. One of the goblins. I'm gonna look at Nope.
Yeah.
We all look at no, I'm sure.
I'll look down at Nope.
Oh, so you
Tum-Tum
just
is a
assume because
ne'er-do-well.
I'm a goblin that I know every goblin?
Dan, do I know this other goblin?
Tum Tum is a ne'er-do-well. He's actually not part of the Court of Star and Shadows. He's part of the Court of the Green.
Do I know
You do know that the Court of the Green has goblins.
You've heard
right?
of Tum Tum. You don't really know him very well, but you've heard of him. Tum Tum has a reputation as a valiant warrior.
Don't we all? I mean,
He's a goblin who really idealizes the elves.
he sounds like another goblin I know, but he won't admit it just yet. Sensing a theme among goblin kind. All right, that's interesting. Who am I gonna go to?
Let's go see Granny. We've already seen the sun. We've already seen the green. Let's go see one of my peeps.
It's
We
only
got two of-
fair.
Two of your people on the table, but all right, hag it is.
All right. So Granny Agatha and her coven are a bit outside of this compound that's at the heart of the forest. So this area, the heart of the forest, is essentially where quite a lot of the Feywild bleeds through into the material world, and in particular where the aspects of the three different courts kind of meet. So it's this ritualized sort of, think of it as a triangular area and then draw a circle around it. And the triangular area is where these three courts kind of intersect. In fact, at the very heart is the triangular table, which is where the courts actually physically meet, where they all come together. Granny Agatha lives in an area sort of outside of the very heart, in an area that is very definitely aspected to the court of Star and Shadow. Nope knows exactly where Granny Agatha's abode is.
Now, here's the thing. You have to bring a gift. Don't give her your blood. Be polite. And if you see a bear on a unicycle, just ignore it.
I nod. I'm very seriously.
Now, she's a little startling at first for all you gorgeous, vile, pretty elves and glowing, shiny angel folk, but she's good at heart, mostly. So enter very cautiously and don't touch anything.
What kind of gifts do you recommend? Nope.
Oh, something that's worth at least 10 gold. I'll take them for you if you want.
I mean, you couldn't have warned of this before we went to Antagis.
I'm just fucking with you.
I thought so. That was the point of in the interrogation here.
So, walk on in. Just I wasn't lying about the bear. If there's a bear, ignore it. I'm not sure if she has the bear or if it's the other one.
And I'll walk on in.
Did he say the other one? Oh well. Investigator follows right behind. Nope.
So you start leading. All right.
Nope walks on in.
Hey, Granny.
Well, so you start leading them there. It's a little bit of a hike through sort of the forest area. Yeah. And so as you move deeper and deeper into this area that is aspected to the court of Star and Shadow, it gets gloomier. There is still a certain beauty there, but the beauty of a perfectly warped tree covered in perfectly draped moss. The shadows grow deeper. You start seeing various colored mushrooms poking out. And of course, as you progress through, you go from sort of a perpetual sunset into a perfect night sky. You can see occasionally above the cracks in the trees, glittering stars richly embroidered overhead. As you're moving through, Anoran, Zolan, and Vestiaire, all give me dexterity saving throws.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
15.
All right.
Let's see. You said dexterity saving throw?
Yes.
5.
That's a 7 from me.
And a 7. Okay. So all three of you suddenly take a stride, and your footwear is pulled up short because your boot laces are tied together. Anoran, you kind of realize this quick and sort of take a little hop and stand on your feet. But Zolan and Vestiaire both go poof, face first,
shit,
plank into the ground, and directly into mud puddles.
Watch your step.
Brownies!
And you just hear this around you.
Of course it's pixies.
Nope. You knew this was going to happen, didn't you?
Nope.
Is that your name, or are you answering the question? Nope.
Yep.
This is getting outrageous. This Vestier picks himself up out of the mud puddle and is just like wiping his face off with a rag and just like tossing it directly at Nope. Just
And so you hear like a little bit of a chuckle, around you quite quickly. Give me perception checks, everybody.
do have advantage on this from my shield, so
17.
22 again.
so it's a 14.
14.
I have a negative there. Perception. I have a 14.
16 for Anaran.
Okay, perfect. So you kind of all look around, and you see these small creatures zipping around through, but they are not pixies or brownies. You notice these sort of dark, kind of dusky skinned individuals just zipping around incredibly fast, and they seem to almost blur and stretch as they move, and then periodically, land on a branch and cackle and laugh at the two individuals covered in mud.
Me too.
Still wiping the mud off my face.
So what are they? Do I know?
I yell off and I say, or yell at them and I say, "Be off with you! Be off with you, quicklings!"
Yeah, so
Don't make me cast light on you.
you all have pretty sufficient Fey knowledge to know that, yes, indeed, these are quicklings.
Vestier, after Ains' comment or laughter at least, is going to use his pull of collapsing to quickly extend and trip him into the mud as well. And his magic word for that is "Good morning, sunshine."
Oh, can I assume I can see this coming. Can I avoid it?
I think so. Let's go ahead and we'll do this sort of like a grapple. Give me sort of like a contested, although a little bit, Vestier, either strength or athletics will do in this case, sort of quickness of getting the pole launched out. Oh, I can't.
What?
Oh,
We lose you?
Hear.
We don't
Yep.
hear you.
Yep.
Just how I like them. Silent.
Cool. Well,
Wait, I fixed it.
Okay,
I fixed
we
it.
got you back.
All right.
I had my mic muted. That will do it. That is a simple
I think
mechanical fix.
contested dexterity, I think, seems
Okay, yeah.
appropriate in this case. Sort of the speed of getting the pole out and the speed of avoiding it.
Well, that was a 6 on
17.
oh, burn!
So the pole snaps out, but Ain, how do you avoid it?
I front flip over it.
Wow.
And then land. And you hear this like slow. It would be a slow clap if you sped it up about 5,000 times. And you see the quicklings just doing.
All right. So there's just like a.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
And
All right, I
they're
will
all
bounce.
Classic
standing
Cameron.
there with a hand on the hilt of sort of what looks like an elegant sword, but tiny sized.
How cute. Like a cocktail sword.
I'm shouting at them as I'm untying my shoelaces, bootlaces, as it were, saying, "Off with you! Off with you!"
Pay the toll, pay the toll. And they start dancing back and forth on the tree limbs, and they're kind of just like zipping around all around you and alighting on different tree
Oh,
limbs.
what's the toll?
Pay the toll, pay the toll, pay the toll, pay the toll, pay the toll.
What's the
Nope.
toll?
Do you
It's
know
something-
the toll?
Ah.
Cameron, can we just call this even for the night? I'll owe you later. We're kind of on a timeline here.
Make a persuasion check.
Oh, great. Well, actually, my charisma's great. +4, 13.
I don't trust you, Nope. You reneged on me before. Pay the toll, pay the toll, pay the toll.
And I pipe up saying, nope, my dear friend, you must have forgotten. We already paid Granny Agatha. The toll has been paid, my friends. You can let us go.
Ooh, Anoran, give me a deception check.
I shall.
With
That's gonna be a
advantage,
four-
because you
Okay,
invoked
awesome.
Lady
Even
Agatha.
better. 14.
14. One sort of pauses and scratches himself a little bit. Oh, Granny Aggie. Granny Aggie. And all of the quicklings just like vanish.
And I say, well, that bodes well.
And here I was thinking I was going to read them a nice sermon out of the book.
That probably would have got rid of them too,
Fuck.
or put them to sleep.
Shave it for later, Zoran.
Yeah, shaver for later.
That's
Are you
awesome.
making fun of my accent? Nope.
Am I making fun of your accent?
Yes.
It's a shant of an axe. Let's go get a granny. He made good strudels.
Before they come back.
All right.
Did you say
I'll be back.
strudels?
Strudels. Okay, it's this way. It's this way. Good to see you got a little bit of lie in you. Minnie.
I look in Nope's direction and I say, the Fey is within all of us, my friend, even you.
Oh, don't I know it? I've been in a couple Fey myself.
And walking, and we're walking.
I look oddly horrified and disgusted, and then slightly like considering.
Intrigued?
And we're all ignoring that, right? That's happening. We're just gonna let that slide. So
That's what she said.
Antarctica?
all right.
Is that what she said?
Fey, I don't know. I don't judge. I was
I
looking.
mean, this here, if you need, there are diagrams.
Diagrams. I mean, it's something I might consider. Do you have? Is that one in one of your books? Sorry.
Yes, it is.
I'm sure. Is that a light you speak of? Is that a light?
There is a light, indeed, in all things.
Even Nope, as we've obviously heard. Shall we carry on?
And we're walking, and we're walking.
Yeah. All right. So, so you continue along the trail as the trees get sort of increasingly bleak and skeletal. And eventually you come upon a clearing that is full of brackish water. From the middle, on a small island, which is connected by a little stone path that goes to it, is this large tree rising up, completely bare of branches. And it definitely looks like a skeleton's arm reaching up high into the air. And around it, in sort of 3 levels attached to it on the outside, are these protrusions. I forget the name of them, but you may have seen them on things like pine trees when you get these like bold protrusions that warp out of it, sort of like a wart. But they're quite large. And they have small windows carved into them. They're apparently connected to one another, and the one on the bottom has a door. Rooting around in sort of the muck is this large creature, sort of with this long neck and bulbous body and skinny legs, rooting around in the water with a tusked head. And you recognize it as a celibus, kind of just like rooting around there, eating. And there is a large hound seated outside the door.
Hey, Dan, I'm really sorry. I need to use the restroom, so I'll be right back. I really apologize. Right back.
Okay.
Go ahead, you guys. Go on without me. I'll be right back.
I was actually going to suggest, I was waiting for the dramatic door creaking open and suggest that we actually take a brief break because we are a little over halfway in, and it's a good spot for us all to use the washrooms, refresh drinks, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I believe halfway in is Nope's title for his memoir. So I think that's a good stopping point as well.
It's like a baby's arm.
I gotta go. Right, I'll be right back.
Well, I'm broken. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back in like 5-10 minutes. Right, and now we're back with all our audio as I get everything unmuted. Welcome back, everybody. Hopefully everybody can hear us and I didn't screw anything up, because I have a tendency to do that.
I can't hear Sam.
Hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
I just
You're
wasn't
fine.
saying anything.
All right. So, when we took our break, everyone had just arrived at the hut of Granny Agatha Oozepimple. And you saw some strange creatures rooting around in the mud. There was a large black hound seated outside her door, and sort of a stone path across the water to this island where her, for lack of a better word, treehouse rises out of the earth.
Yeah, don't let that thing breathe on you.
So
And there was another creature as well that had long legs and a long neck and a long, like, proboscis snout. Is that what you were describing? Or
yes, it's just casually kind of rooting around through the water. It occasionally pops up from the muck and kind of chews and looks at you with a bit of an evil eye and then shoves its head back down in the water.
I'll lead the way.
I'm gonna go up to the dog, the shadow hound, cautiously. These things scare me as a player.
Yeah, there's a large sort of pony-sized hound, mostly black, but it's got some white and gray mixed on with it as well. Kind of wolf-like. And it just looks and sort of sniffs at Nope.
And how far, Dan, are the banks? You said that this treehouse is on an island and there are stone sort of steps out there. How far is that distance from the bank?
Only about like 40 feet. It's sort of just like a large pond with, around this, almost like a moat.
Okay.
Hey, buddy. We need to talk to Granny. Can we get in?
Make a persuasion check.
What are we talking about? 10.
All right. So the large hound stands up, and it is taller than Nope. Sort of looks down, sniffs suspiciously, licks Nope across the face, and as it does so, you can see little bits of ice and frost left behind. And then it sort of barks at the door. And you hear a, yes, yes.
Granny, I come by to get some strudels.
Oh, is that Nope, that delectable little drumstick? And you hear sort of...
brought some...
You brought who? Friends.
Brought some friends.
Friends of
I
Nope.
don't know if I called them friends, but... So I got wrapped up in a mission.
A mission? Oh, as long as it's not... Well, I won't go there. And then the door kind of creaks inward a little bit, and it's dark. Well, not dark, it's sort of dim. There's some vaguely flickering firelight on the inside. But the door opens, and this green, warty face leans out with one eye. There's a patch over it. Kind of leans out and opens. She's very snaggle-toothed. Ah, nope. Who are your overly attractive friends?
Well, we got
Very
Bane, Zolan, Anus, and Festidaire.
Well, he got my name right. So,
I say it with
well,
the F.
I'm afraid my daughters are otherwise occupied. But come in if you must.
what a shame.
Are they not-
I'm sure they're just as attractive as you are, ma'am.
Ah, well, they're uglier. So I'm not sure how that works for you.
It's really just a pick and roll, so it's fine. Maybe later.
Hope understands the nature of true beauty.
Remember when I said I've been in a few Fey?
Just the Fey you're talking about? Are these your daughters?
She kind of pats at Nope's head. Shh! You said you wouldn't talk about that.
We're not as restricted as you sunny folk. So, down to the business. We were told that you'd met
Well,
around.
don't just stand in the door. Catch it
Okay.
cold. And she shuffles.
Come in, I'm
back
going to
into
sniff
the
around,
house.
see how it smells.
Cross the
So
mud. Did we just walk
the-
right through it?
So yeah, I mean the stepping stones were sort
Oh,
of
there was stepping
easy
stones.
to
Okay.
cross. Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
Our shoelaces
water
weren't
was
tied
not-
again.
Making
Together?
sure that my boots are clean.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. You look down and they seem okay. Yeah. So whoever enters and comes in, it's
Sure.
dark and there's this sort
I'll
of
walk in.
foul smoke that's boiling out of this cauldron that's seated over a central hearth, just like an open fire pit essentially in the middle of the room. And so the smoke mixed with this steam that's bubbling out of the cauldron is kind of reminiscent of a combination of moldy earth and rotten eggs. There's, as you look around, it's dim light. It's kind of mostly just illuminated by this hearth and a few lanterns placed around, but all the lanterns are turned down almost to their minimum sort of wick size, as it were. But there are shelves everywhere. Basically, they're, just everywhere, all up through the room, right to this small staircase that kind of twists upwards, are shelves full of knickknacks and oddities. There's a table, every surface is covered. There's a cabinet, every surface is covered. The things that stick out the most among this assemblage is various creatures in jars of liquid, a few of which kind of move and seem to follow you, looking at you as you enter the room, and a beautiful glass decanter full of eyes. And all of the eyes are slowly blinking at you. And as you look, you don't see any eyes that appear to go together. There's no pairs of eyes, just individuals slowly blinking.
Cool. So I'm
Out
gonna
of this
lift one
jar.
of those eyes to her and back again. That eye patch
Yeah.
and this jar of eyes intrigue me.
Festier is going to look at Anaron and say, "Are yours in there?"
And I say, not yet.
And she
Intriguing
shuffles.
answer.
She shuffles over and she kind of chuckles. I do collect, but never pairs. Pairs is so bougie.
It's a strong word for someone of such respite, ma'am.
Well, I am old. I've gained the right to say what I like.
Fair. And Vestier's going
I
to lean
was
on one of the
old when
shelves.
You were young.
Zolan's gonna walk over to the decanter of eyes and weighs at all the eyes.
And as you move your hand, it's kind of like startled fish in an aquarium where they all like blink closed really fast and kind of seem to shrink together. and then a few of them start peeking open just a crack, looking at you.
Anaran gives a formal bow to Granny Agatha and says, "Grandmother, we are honored that you allow us within your demesne and apologize for any intrusion. We come on business that concerns all of the courts. Have you heard of the tragedy?"
And as you're talking to her and looking, you notice that she's kind of just absent-mindedly scratching at her face, and she sort of pops open a pimple and sort of like looks at her finger, licks it a little bit. Tragedy, you say?
Yes.
What tragedy might that be? Some
This is
would
my
deem your courts themselves a little bit of a tragedy. Oh, faces, yes. My face, not a tragedy.
I sort of impassively weather the schoolyard taunts that seem to come from all of the members of the court of the stars. As I sort of, I'm trying to get a sense as if she's trying to throw me off the scent here, or if she actually is surprised by this tragedy.
Roll me
that
an
I
insight
see.
check.
Sure. That'll be a 15.
All right. She actually, I mean, hags are kind of notoriously hard to read, but
Yep.
she does seem genuinely like she has no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. I say, I believe a member of my court owed you money, and she will not be able to pay her debts.
Owed me money? I do not deal with such frivolous things like gold, and I never let someone leave in too much debt without assurances of payment.
He's talking about the death of Thalin of the Summer Court. Let's just get this over with, Enron. I'm sorry, but the niceties they're stalling, as you would say.
No one would ever accuse you of niceties, my friend.
And thank you, much appreciated.
Fallon. Pretty young thing, right?
Not when we saw her. She had a hole here and here. It
was only
was
a small-
quite gross.
She was
Well, yes. Hole nonetheless. One that was not there when she was alive.
Well. Delicious. Maybe she had her just desserts. Is that what the cool kids are saying these days? Nope.
yeah.
Yes.
We didn't find any dessert in her room. Maybe someone stole that too.
That's a fair point, Nope. We could
Perhaps.
maybe someone with a sweet tooth.
Well, Fallon was here to see me yesterday.
Oh?
Yes, but my information never comes free.
Well, if you're
As
looking
they
for an
say.
eye,
Oh, well, I do
I've got
like
an extra one on my
eyes.
shield, so here,
Ooh.
you can have one of mine.
As they
Ooh.
say, let's make a deal.
A deal? I mean,
Yes.
shield deal. It's fine. Yes, an eye for an eye, as they say.
An eye for an eye, indeed. He gets it. He gets it. Pretty, but the Celestials are a little more in tune with how we think.
You even have eyes.
Indeed, I will exchange an eye for one piece of glorious secret.
Oh, these celestial eyes are worth a bit more than just one piece of information. They are of precious noble birth. Yes.
Make a persuasion check.
Shit. That's an 8. That's an 8.
An 8. Delicious. She just says, yes, well, noble, common, hag. I care not for such frivolous things, but 1 for 1 is always fitting, but I promise the secret is a good one.
Well, Granny Agatha, it seems I only have an eye for you. And he kind of just plucks it out. With
Oh!
All
Okay,
right.
that's a little bit much even for me.
Well.
Part the pun or the plucking of the eye?
Wow.
Both.
Pun.
And she's half reaching out, and she's like, oh, I could have did that a little cleaner.
It's fine. As he like slaps a bandage on his eye and just
What?
She says, this one's on the house, and she roots around and pulls out a poultice and hands it to you.
Just shove it in the socket. You'll be fine.
shove the poultice in the socket. Yes.
Yep.
Just slap it
Begins
over.
just, like,
slap it.
Pouring
slap
it in the eye.
And it's like a bandage. You can.
Oh, okay.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll assist in getting the bandaging.
Much appreciated, Jolin.
All right. And we'll say the poultice would heal any sort of like hit point damage that would come from ripping out
Removing your own eye. Yeah.
Yeah. But you may have disadvantage on some checks.
I do have the shield for that. So
That is true. That is true. And so she takes the eyeball and kind of looks at it. She pops it in her mouth and sort of swirls it around quite a bit, and then pops it out so that it's relatively clean, and goes over to the jar and drops it in, and it sort of swims down and starts looking around at everybody.
what do my elf eyes see? Sorry. Again, opportunity.
I have an aneurysm.
And Granny Agatha just says, well, you see, Thalin came to me to procure a rather profane ritual. A ritual
What?
of unbinding. This ritual was intended to unbind a trapped soul from the Shadowfell. But I will give you 2 pieces of information for free because, well, I like the look of you.
They're really pretty.
Thalin was obtaining the ritual for somebody else. Someone a little higher in her food chain. But there was another who also wanted the ritual, but could not afford my price.
Seeing as we didn't find the ritual amongst our goods, it might be privy that we find out who wanted it as well.
We may have to leave for about half an hour, and one of you guys can stick around. Maybe we'll get the information that way.
I look
Oh.
at Nope and I say, aren't you able to cast magic to locate certain objects?
I need to be able to see it first. But, do you have another one we could just take a glance at, Granny?
I'm afraid not. But if someone else is willing to make a deal, I can tell you who wanted it and couldn't afford to pay.
I vote the Green Court. Go ahead. Work your magic.
Who wants to see what else she'll tell us?
You're just throwing me up here as a sacrifice, huh?
Oh, you do have two perfectly good eyes.
But one eye a day. So boring to have more.
Oh.
Surely there is something more interesting you can offer.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Now you tell me that I don't have to give up an eye.
Hmm.
I mean, how many different body parts do you collect?
Oh, well, anything of interest. And of course, there's always future favors for services rendered in the form of when people can't pay, we collect in servitude.
And are you comfortable giving something up?
Hang on, I'm thinking for a minute here.
If you are not, it is a member of the summer court who has died. It is only
Indeed.
right that we pay the
I'm
price.
cool with that. Be my guest. But for a minute here.
I look at Granny and I say, you have use for many things in your magics and in your research.
Indeed, I
I
do.
have heard and learned that life is very important to you, vitality.
It is.
If you were to reveal this secret to us, I could provide to you 10 years of my life.
Ooh. This does sound intriguing. Go ahead and give me a persuasion check.
Cool. I got a 13, but I would really love to use an icon die at this point, if that's appropriate.
You can use one or more and just treat it kind of like bardic inspiration and roll it and add it on if you want.
Awesome. I rolled a 6 on my die, so I give a 19 for my roll in total.
Excellent. So she leans forward and says, done and done and done. And she sort of just kind of reaches in and fumbles around in a bag a little bit and pulls out a small iron forged dagger.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Remember what Nope said about blood, right? And run.
She incises across her hand, and there's like a sizzling as she does, almost as it sort of boils the blood a little bit, this cold iron as it slices it open. And then she sort of neatly reverses it and hands it over to you.
As I'm about to take it, I look over my shoulder at my paladin companion and I say, Quip, what do you think she was slurping off your eye?
Oh, right. Go ahead.
And I take the dagger of cold iron, and it seems like it almost burns me, almost like it's uncomfortable for me to handle it. And as I am taking it, I sort of have it in one hand, and then I remove my helm with the other, revealing my sort of bushy blonde straw hair, my ears that come out quite long, as a matter of fact. They're usually sort of hidden underneath the helm. I am a sight, an enchanting elven man. My eyes are deepest green. And I begin shearing off all of my hair with the dagger. As the hair begins to fall from my skull, my pate, and it's sort of laying on the floor, almost like a rune casting, or some sort of like trying to read the future in tea or something like that, or in the entrails of an animal. And as I'm just jaggedly shearing off all of my hair, you guys can just see that my skin is getting more wrinkled, as I'm obviously losing a bit of my life force. The 10 years, the decade of my life that is disappearing as I shave myself bald.
Excellent. And she sort of cackles a little bit and is sort of just muttering the yes, yes, as you proceed, and then sort of reaches out for the dagger.
Yes, I give it back to her.
Yeah, and then she takes it and sort of licks the blade, where there's some blood that's kind of got on it from shearing the head, and sort of gathers up the locks of hair and goes over to her cauldron, which she pops open and sort of throws it in, and there's a bit of a like woof as it ignites and turns into this acrid steam, and you can see motes of purple and green that kind of writhe up, and she just sort of inhales it deeply. Oh, that's the good shit.
And now we're doing with a hi, Grandma Agatha. So thanks, Anaron.
And she turns around, and you can't notice, her age having changed in the slightest. But she, tucks the dagger back. Now, the one who couldn't afford it was a darkling named Gloom, a former assassin who occasionally worked for the Queen.
Oh no.
Gonna look over at Nope here.
Why he wanted the ritual is his own secret, which he would not divulge. But if Gloom has it, he will be conducting the ritual tonight. And there is only one suitable spot nearby, and that is the Iron Hallows.
Ooh.
Sounds ominous.
So you all know the Iron Hallows are sort of a particularly sacred spot, which is unusual, the connotations of iron usually being negative. But it is indeed that force of iron that makes pacts and treaties and agreements made within the Iron Hallows rigidly binding upon those who make it. And that is where the three courts and the human Grand Duke ritually signed the original treaty, and where it is still signed every year. And in fact, the original Grand Duke of Serat, Nindaris, who is the one who signed it a century ago, welcoming the Fey back into the world, is entombed there.
Oh.
Which is a particularly special honor for someone who is a human.
Interesting.
Awesome.
So, seems we know where to go next. Do you have any more of those eye patches?
Like these?
Yes.
Oh,
like
yes.
those.
I think I have a novelty box here somewhere. And she shuffles over and sort of pulls out this little box and opens it. And you can see it is full of all manner of eye patches. Many colors.
Are there any,
some have eyes painted on them.
That look like my shield, honestly. Anything with like a greenish, orangish eye.
Give me an investigation check as you rifle through this box.
Nope's going to lean over. Sorry, to
investigation +0. Awesome. And that is a 3. So no, is what I'm guessing.
Yeah,
it could be you're having a little hard time spotting it.
Yeah,
seeing it, as it were.
The closest you find is blue, and
it clashes, but it'll do.
Yeah, and it's slitted sort of like a cat eye.
It's a bit gaudy, but it'll do.
I like
And he adorns the blue eye patch.
Everyone else, as he adorns the eye patch, you notice the eye moving around.
Huh.
How handy.
That's
piecing some things together here. Talon had a ritual to get somebody out of the Shadowfell. This guy wants something similar. So we may have found our murderer, but why he took diplomatic papers is beyond me, unless it was a mistake. Just thinking out loud.
Or maybe the diplomatic papers that the Sun Courts. And I just sort of trail off as I say, we must go to the Iron Hallows.
means they didn't want us to find it as we were searching.
Maybe they
Make
were
it
just
look
trying
like
to throw
something
us off
else.
the trail. Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of shrug and say there could be many explanations. We won't know more until we find this Darkling.
Agreed.
Nope.
Anaron, something about you seems off, but we'll get to that later.
Says the one-eyed man.
That was in service to the Celestial Court.
I'm sure they'll be really happy. All right.
So,
I don't
nobody,
see them being upset about it.
Let's go.
I mean, I
as
thought
Nope runs out the door, he casts Mage Armor.
Might be a good idea.
You know, the Iron Hallows are I mean, time is a little timey-wimey, wonky here. But, you know, the Iron Hallows aren't exactly right next door. But you would know sort of an appropriate time to cast Mage Armor on yourself.
Like 8 hours.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Non-concentration.
That's right. That's right.
It lasts
Mage Armor's
a
long
while.
time. Yeah.
And because of that, I also get 10 10 bonus hit points.
Yeah.
Oh, because of abjuration.
Abjuration!
Abjurer's Ward.
I'm a tank.
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone else, like Zolan or Ain, for instance, have anything?
Thanks, Granny.
Actually, I'll get a strudel.
Nice.
Are there strudels? Can I have a strudel?
A strudel.
Strudel.
I just said that so you'd have to say strudel if you wanted one.
Oh,
I appreciate you.
now, do you mean the pastry or the activity?
Doodling and strudling.
Pastry now, activity later.
Well, you promise.
Oh, and I leave a copy of the Holy Book of Light for Granny Agatha.
Which is
It's like those Gideons that pop up in elementary schools.
Yes.
Agatha looks at it as you're sort of like handing it over, and she goes, "Put it with the others," and she gestures to the corner where you can see this dusty pile of books. She does busy herself and turn around and come back with a plate of what appear to be strudels.
I'm full.
Yay.
Thanks.
How many eyes are in them?
There are fortunately 0 eyes in the strudels.
Okay.
The all-seeing strudels.
Visionary strudels.
Yes.
Nope runs back in and says,
Your
Strudels
blood
are
means
force
she can
strike.
watch you pee.
What?
You know, by
Let's just
drinking your
go.
blood, she can watch you naked now. Whenever she wants, watch you on the turlet.
I have nothing to hide. My body is all but
A
light.
temple.
It is a temple.
That's disturbing, but no less disturbing than the thought of you getting it home with some Fey. Nope. So let's be on our way.
We're all Fey. We're all Fey.
You're. I mean, we
She
all are in the Fey.
Fey pride.
She
Hashtag Frey Pride. Mark it.
Hashtag Fey Pride, folks.
Yeah. Nope, she does look at you and she says, "Speaking of being able to look at you when you I see what you do to yourself when no one's watching.
All you need to ask is if you want a private show.
We should be on our way.
Agreed.
Bestia is out the door with one eye missing from his inventory.
Yeah.
Nope gives the Shadow Hound a nice pat as he goes past.
It
Thank
licks
you, ma'am.
Vestiaire, by the way, you feel this like itching around your like eye patch.
Wound.
Yeah, but like specifically where the eye patch is like resting against your skin.
I'm guessing it's shielding to my skin, yeah?
Yeah, when you reach up and like kind of tug at it, it is like forming a bond. But you notice that your vision that was occluded is coming back.
It's like a second eye, so be all right. I can see the sun again.
Try closing your real eye. And just
Okay.
looking at that fake eye.
Vestia will close his real eye and begin looking out the eye patch.
And you can still see.
This is quite weird.
Hoping for something cool, but never mind. All right, let's go.
Like high-tech vision, maybe some zooming in and out.
Maybe seeing,
Well-
whose eye was it originally? Maybe you could see what they're seeing now.
That would be neat.
Guess not.
You
Very,
just when you
very
have
interesting.
at least when you have the one eye closed, you can see a faint glimmer around various items in people's possession.
Tech magic, maybe?
You have fairy fire eyeballs.
Yeah, you can
Oh.
basically see the magical aura coming off of items.
Oh,
So it did do
That's pretty
something.
neat.
Nice.
So, but I'm guessing that won't come in handy in this one shot. So,
We'll know if the
Alright,
dagger, any of the enemy's weapons or armor are enchanted. So there we go.
Well, you can definitely see I'm carrying magic on me.
Yep.
yes, you can see.
everyone's
magic.
pretty magical at this point.
I mean, Zolan's hair is pretty magical for some odd reason, though.
Interesting.
Oh,
So,
it's glimmering.
to the iron,
That's
what's it
magic.
call?
Hallow.
Iron
Crown.
Hallows.
Iron Hallows.
Iron Hallow. Got it. Let's be on our
So-
way.
Yeah, you basically all know the way. Although, getting there directly from Agatha's note sort of knows the way back. And you proceed to where the Iron Hallows are, where pretty close to where the meeting place is. They're sort of in that same general vicinity. And it appears to be shaped as they look kind of like trees, but as you look at them, you notice that they're made out of this dark wrought iron that twist and form together to form a sort of byre in the middle of this clearing. And there's little panes of crystal set into it like windows that are allowing the sort of perpetual sunset and sunrise as you're in this kind of meeting place. You look
Cool.
one direction, you can see the sun eternally setting, and in another you can see it eternally rising, and in the third is sort of a starscape. And those three kinds of light blend together and refract inwards. You can't see the effect that it's like inside, but from the outside you can see them hitting these window panes.
Nice.
And there is a small door set into it on the side that faces the compound where the meeting place is.
Hey,
As we're,
who's the sneaky one?
as we're approaching, I begin chanting arcane words of power. Shanti Shoti! As my form begins to shimmer and change, and my armor melts away, my weapons melt away, and I'm wearing the gown, the diplomatic gown of Thalon, as I begin to look exactly like her.
Hmm.
Ah,
And now I look
interesting.
exactly like her in her gown.
Yep, so you take on this
With-
Fey aspect.
with the wounds and all, or is that
Nope, I
missing?
look very healthy. Very healthy.
Got it? Just didn't know if you were trying to look like a corpse. That would
Nope.
be pretty freaky.
I look very healthy.
Okay.
And Vestiaire will begin kind of just looking about the group and noting those of which aren't necessarily pious, and bless those that need assistance in the form of Zolan, Ian, and Nope.
Yeah.
You all are blessed for the next minute. So,
Okay.
That's a D4 to my attack rolls.
or yeah, that thing.
Attack rolls and saving throws.
Yes,
Gotcha.
unless I lose concentration. So,
Right. Let's see.
like all of my spells are concentration, which is very unfortunate, but it's what happens with a paladin anyway.
It's
Mhm.
true.
We're blessed. So,
I nominate the hunter to go see if there's anyone in there.
Yep, I was just about to say I'm going to try and stealth forward.
You go leader.
Go ahead and give me go ahead and give me a stealth check.
Yep. Oh, yes. Awesome. Okay. 23.
Nice.
Nice.
All right. So you creep forward towards the door.
no, just not.
So
I'm assuming
I'm just
everyone
gonna
else
try
is
and,
probably letting you approach.
yeah, I'm going to try and get up under one of these windows and see if there's anybody around.
Okay. Give me a perception check. You know, the glass is, you know, it's like a crystal, so it's a bit warped and it's not totally clear.
17.
17. All right. So
Yes.
you peer through and you can see the sort of light streaming into the interior. And among the sort of shapes that are inside that are sort of, you know, it's almost like the glass is sort of more translucent. It's like looking through frosted glass almost. You can see that there are 5 figures on the inside. 4 of them are small. You know, sort of nope sized essentially, whereas the other is a more normal height. And that figure appears to be central, kind of doing something over some kind of altar perhaps, or large table. And the 4 smaller individuals seem to be kind of clustered around him, but like looking around.
Okay. Do I recognize these silhouettes? Like, do they look like they could be the love children of Nope and the hags?
I always wrap it before I tap it, baby.
Oh no, that's too much.
Go
was
ahead
great.
and give me an intelligence check. Nature check, I guess, would be okay in this regard.
Okay. 21.
21.
Nice.
Okay. So the individuals all, especially the small individuals, appear to have these large hoods up over their head, indicating perhaps some sensitivity to light. And they have like heavy robes on, kind of wrapped around. But you can see what appears to be a blade held in each of their hands. I would say you're not entirely sure. You know, goblins they might be, but you kind of don't think they are. The way they hold and carry themselves seems a little different. And the central individual certainly holds himself more like you would expect of, you know, an elf or something like that.
Okay,
But Agatha did tell you that Gloom was a darkling.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to wave the other guys forward.
As we're moving forward, I sort of point my finger towards Ain and I whisper a word of power as I then begin messaging you from about 100 feet away, asking you what you've seen in a whisper. You can hear my voice in your ear, even though I'm 100 feet away from you.
Okay. And can I respond to you in kind?
And you can respond to this message.
Okay, cool. All right. So there's a central figure. That's probably the guy we're looking for. And then we've got 4 little guys who look like they are probably light sensitive. So if you want to get the one guy with the crazy book up here pretty fast, we might be able to surprise them.
I tell everyone that verbatim. I'm just like reporting it.
Well,
Hey, let me tuck up my
Vestiaire
sleeve.
is going to run out there and yell, "Stop!"
Oh god.
Cool.
Well, there went that.
Smoke's rushing in.
So much for
And-
stealthing.
The name of the
Yeah.
celestial court.
And Ain as Vestiaire, I can't say it without saying Vestiaire instead of Vestiaire.
You have to say it with the accent. It's fine.
Vestiaire.
Vestiaire.
Ain, as he yells out, you can see the individuals all turn and face the door. I mean, you're sort of occluded off to the side, sort of peeking through the window, but they all turn and look towards the door.
I'm right hot on his tail, and I pull from my ear a little spider, and I pull a little
Nice.
web
Nice.
from the hindquarters of the spider spinneret. Wiggle my fingers and go, "Stick around, guys," and cast web.
Nice.
All right, so you're rushing towards the door and then kind of throwing it in from like a little bit of a distance. As you're running in, and as Vestiaire sort of yelled, as you're throwing it in, you can see just this boof, as this globe of darkness kind of pops into existence and then quickly swells out, filling the interior space. But you then throw the web in, and hear and a bunch of them
14.
make saving throws. 14. You hear like a couple of yells, and then a few people that are just like almost giggling maniacally.
They're not goblins.
And a voice from the interior basically just yells out, "Celestial Court, come and get me.
Cool.
You won't
Sounds like this is on
stop
you."
me. I will bring back my wife."
Ooh.
That's interesting.
I will approach quietly, stealthily, as Ain suggested we do.
It's a little late, isn't it? I mean,
Late.
It's a little late.
The only one they've seen so
it's
far is
never too
Vestiaire, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
Vestiaire.
Go ahead and give me a stealth check.
I got a 1.
Excellent.
I love
So Anaran, as you're sort of creeping forward,
tromping forward.
all of a sudden there is this snap as you look down and your foot basically punches through this hole in the ground, sort of like a badger hole or something, and your foot snapped through some roots and you kind of stumble into it, and there is a whistling sound from the interior, and then like crossbow bolt kind of just slams into a tree, kind of a foot away from you as it slammed out, and the voice goes, "Don't come any closer." Zolan, what are you doing?
Question: how big is the interior again?
The interior of the Iron Hallows is probably about 40 feet across in diameter.
Okay. All right. Well,
So it's almost just like the small hut, almost, really.
all right, and they're all webbed, right?
So there was a webbing thrown inside,
Right.
and then darkness basically cast and then filling the interior.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the stupider thing now. I'm gonna go charging into the darkness.
Oh, I love
I attack the darkness.
Yeah.
I'm about to
Into the
attack the darkness. Well, there will be something.
I cast.
So I
magic
charge
missile.
into the. I wish I could, but no. I'm gonna brandish my holy symbol, which is basically an amulet with a large sun on it, and I'm gonna start speaking a prayer, beseeching the light, and to dispel this darkness. And I'm gonna use channel divinity and I'm going to go to almost to the center of the darkness, and I am going to use Channel Divinity, Radiance of the Dawn, and it dispels all darkness within 30 feet of me, and all hostile creatures within 30 feet of me must make Constitution saving throws.
Excellent.
And-
All right.
Yeah. And I think the DC is 13. Or hold on, let me check
Okay.
here. Yeah, 13.
13. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oops.
Pass. Fail and fail.
Okay.
Fail and fail. So one individual passed. That's the individual in the middle. But the other 4 smaller creatures all failed.
Nice.
Okay, so creatures that fail take 2d10 plus my cleric level, and half if they succeed. So we got 10 plus 3 is 13. 13 radiant damage for those who failed, and then half for those who succeed.
Okay.
You're also covered in webs.
Yep, I thought so.
Yeah.
Is that
Fine, also
a dex
covered in
save?
webs.
Interwebs.
Interwebs, yes.
They interwebs.
All right. So there is this loud yelling as the darkness is dispelled with this radiant flash of light, and those of you that are on the outside see the light sort of flare out through the windows, and the white, golden, pure light gets refracted into multiple colors like a rainbow as it flares out of the room. And there's just this, and you can see these little creatures throwing their hands up, and this central figure. The central figure, his hood's kind of pushed back a little bit more, and he looks like an elf almost, but with gray skin and these blazing tattoos that as your light hits them, they flare with brighter light and then subside. And the smaller creatures are swaddled much more tightly, just their eyes visible as they flinch back in fear and kind of hold and cover their eyes. But you can see their skin wither and crack as the light hits them, and they kind of hiss as it burns. In fact, they say, "It burns, it burns." And the central figure sort of whirls towards you with just this like short sword out, and you can see on the table that's now kind of in behind him, there is this scroll that's rolled open and sort of faintly glowing as he had been performing some sort of ceremony. Everyone else?
And
what are...
I
was gonna say, oh.
I yell out, "Rally to the light of the summer court!"
Okay.
Excellent.
Does that do anything, or is that
He
just
just wants his
rally?
wife back.
It may.
Just yelling, just talking.
Okay.
Talking.
As Vestier is already like basically upon these people,
Yeah.
he's also going to use his channel divinity.
Oh,
Hopefully within 30 feet of all of these creatures, or once he's upon 30 feet within these creatures, and brandish his holy symbol and incantate a few words in Fey or Sylvan.
Okay.
And they must make a wisdom saving throw. So
Can
All
I
right.
interrupt this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I like tackle him to stop him or something? Like,
uh,
this guy
to-
just wants
to-
his wife back.
my
to
my
tackle,
perception is
Maybe he's not
my passive
bad.
perception is 17 with my shield. So
So I mean, as you run towards him, he is very much aware. You can see the eye on his shield kind of swivel towards you.
I just want to talk.
it's not an option.
He murdered somebody.
But we don't know that he murdered somebody. I mean,
It's
he
too
probably
late
did.
for that. As he begins, he is already channeled divinity. So.
Okay. And how many of them have to make that save? Just the one?
Anybody's within 30 feet. So any
Okay.
Fey that are within 30 feet.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I'm like right up upon these people, so I can just like
Yeah. it's
he would
kind
have
of charging
he would
into
have
the
like
middle.
jumped right in front of them and been like stop at the beginning of that.
Yeah, and like basically Zolan had kind of just like run in and like leapfrogged past you and just like flared out this light. And what is your spell save DC? Oh,
I lost you.
You muted again.
Oh, right. Sorry, that's my bad.
That's okay.
Spell save. Where is that on D&D Beyond?
It's all the way by spells.
Yeah, it'll
I
be
am
listed
down there by
beside,
spells.
For you, I'm going to
spells,
guess it's like a
spells.
13, probably.
It's a
Yeah.
13. Yeah, it's a 13.
Okay. All right, so the central figure passes, and wisdom, fail and fail, pass and pass. So 2 of them fail.
Okay. For failing, they are must spend their turn moving away from me as far as they can, and it really cannot just move within the space of 30 feet within me, or take reactions.
Ooh, scary.
Yeah,
All
basically he is just trying to like get these things to just like run away. So
So 2 of them kind of hiss as they cover their face, and they're just saying, "It blinds, it burns," and they run sort of to the far back of the room and are just huddling in. If there was a corner in a perfectly round room, that's where they would be huddling.
So how close is Anarin to the figure? Would he see him?
Anarin's sort of
Her,
outside.
since he's looks like Talon.
So Anarin, I'm assuming, is still kind of outside of this structure.
That's right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Ain and Nope and myself are still outside. It sounds like the other 2 have run in.
Yeah, Nope's kind of in the door-ish, and Ain is peered by a window.
And I was moving towards Ain because that's what she said.
Yes.
Though she was sort of leading us, and so she said, "Come meet me here." And so that's still what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, so you're relatively close to her. You kind of extricate yourself from the badger hole.
I look at you, Ain, and I say, "What's the plan?"
Well, half of us are attacking, and I'm just trying to talk to this guy. So I don't know. Go on your instinct. You think he did it? Attack him. If you don't, help me get them to stop.
Well, he's casting the ritual that
he couldn't afford.
that I had. Wink, wink. And my voice hasn't changed. It's still Anaran's voice. I just look like Thalon. I just look like a lady elf. It's cool.
Does he see her now?
I think he certainly can. As
I will present
Thalen, if you
myself.
move
I will
within a
act
line
as
of
a
sight.
distraction.
Okay. So the individual he definitely looks startled for a moment, and he's holding the short sword and sort of looking back and forth between Zolan and Vestiaire and sort of towards Nope and then towards you, and just says, "I should have known you wouldn't stay down. Foul
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to
shade.
draw my bow.
Wait. You do not understand. When my people were cursed, she was locked away by the queen, and I was bound to serve her for eons. I just want her back. I did my duty. I did what I could, and still she wouldn't give it to me."
Wait a minute. Did she prolong her life? Are you able to worship her forever?
I worked my way up to the position I'm in now. The blasted light warped my flesh, but now it shields me. He sort of throws back his cloak, and there's, he's bare-chested, and all of these runic tattoos are ritually sort of inscribed over his flesh, and they're all glowing faintly.
Ah!
Hey, Nope, why don't you take this guy's place?
I kind of want to.
Bound to serve the queen for eternity. You're into that.
My heart already belongs to her, and now my body can too.
That seems like a bad idea. Nope.
No, it seems like a fabulous idea. Listen, Drow.
What's everybody's passive perceptions, by the way?
17.
Jeez,
13.
I don't know. I don't remember how to calculate
13.
that.
It's 10
9.
total perception skill.
Oh, 14. 14.
And Zolan?
9.
Zolan, what's Zolan's passive perception?
Oh, 13, sorry.
Okay, also 13. Okay, so Vestiaire and Ian, you see that the two of these small shrouded creatures that were kind of off to the side and not running away are sort of like trying to inch around the walls towards you.
Estia will again shout, "Stop where you are!" and brandish his rapier.
And it kind of stops, and it's just got this dagger out, shaking, and it's like looking between you.
Listen. Why don't we just all go back and we can talk to the queen? Maybe Nope can kind of trade places.
Do realize they murdered someone, right?
Sure. Yeah, no, I totally get that.
We literally saw her body like 2 hours ago.
We did. I know.
No, I'm perfectly fine, and I'm right here.
She's dead.
And
okay.
I want my ritual back.
The other strange things
deception
have.
Anaran, go ahead and make a deception check.
Sure.
This is gonna be great.
I'd love to use one of my icon die on this. If that's fine.
Absolutely.
Are you blessed? Are you blessed?
I am not #blessed, unfortunately.
Aaron is not #blessed.
I mean,
Aw.
yes, but not,
Nah.
Not actually blessed.
I got a lemon for my.
Yeah, so he just raises the sword again and just says, "Wait a minute. You tried to trick me."
And with
We're
that,
on the hill now.
Yep, I say, I guess you got me. And with that, I will I will throw one of my hand axes as the illusion just tears to shreds around me, and
Yep.
it is I, Anaran. I will throw one of my hand axes at one of the quicklings or darklings.
And who is closest to him between Zolan, Ain, and Vestiaire?
I'm guessing Vestiaire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and make your attack roll. And yeah, as you're throwing that hand axe, he swings out, making sort of 2 quick melee attacks on Vestiaire with his short sword.
Well, shit.
That's what you get for volunteering Vestiaire.
One is definitely not going to hit because it's a 12, but the other one was a 17.
I have an 18 AC. So.
Okay. Yeah, so
That's the benefit of being a
skitters off
paladin.
of your armor. It's true. So yeah, it skitters off the bit
The
of
shield
your
with
plate.
the shy. So
Yeah.
With my elven hand axe, it flips through the air with an armor class of 23, striking one of the darklings and doing 7 points of slashing damage.
Okay. Are you doing it to one of the small ones or to him?
One of the small ones.
All right. And you just hear this yelp as the hand axe embeds sort of into its side, and it turns around kind of growling with its dagger waving around in front of its face. You'll get that, pretty elf. And it
unsheath my longsword,
Yeah.
beckoning him on.
Yeah, and he runs towards you and sort of leaps to try and stab at you with his dagger. And I don't
Okay,
think
well,
that's
as
gonna hit.
he's doing this,
That's a 12.
I'd like to shoot at him.
I was gonna say, can I stab at
Yeah.
what's his face for stabbing at me?
Absolutely. A 12, Anarin, I'm assuming, is not going to hit you.
No,
Yeah,
it
as
doesn't.
this, like,
As I
little
sort of
ball
parry
of
it.
screaming fury sort of falls on you, but you parry him aside. Ain, sorry. Go ahead and make your attack roll first as you sort of, with your bow.
23.
All right. So you catch him. Go ahead and roll damage.
He has not been attacked yet, right?
He has. They've all been
He
damaged,
has.
actually.
Cool. All right.
Yeah, because
Shit.
Colossal Slayer.
I should
Zolan
have done
blasted
Hunter's
them.
Mark first. Anyway, okay. I always forget that.
You can still do Hunter's Mark. It's a bonus action. You can just
But it
Bonus
won't-
action.
cast
like,
it on your
yeah.
turn and then
I'm
make
okay
your
with
attack.
it.
Okay,
Go
cool.
ahead.
All right,
Yeah.
great. Okay, so I got to think about this for a second. All right.
Bonus action.
Plus another. And then the Hunter's Mark. So 7. No. 16 points of damage.
Excellent. Yeah, rangers in my games always do absurd amounts of damage to things because they always take Colossus Slayer.
Colossus Slayer.
I mean, it's so good. Why not?
Exactly.
All right.
Anyone who complains about the ranger being underpowered. So yeah, as this ball of fury kind of falls onto Anarin, your arrow sort of hits, picks him off. He goes flying bodily off of Anarin, and your arrow pins him to the wall.
Nine.
Vestiaire, so you were attacking the main guy, right?
Correct.
Excellent.
So I'll just take a nice stab at him. That's a let me see what my hit bonus is. Just keep doing this actions until I figure this out. That's a 15.
And a 15 actually does hit.
Sweet. So I will smite him
Excellent.
because you can't do that without the action. So let's see. Smiting is a let's see. I can do that at a second level. So
Yeah, you should be good. You should just spend one of your spell slots and throw on an extra 2d8 damage.
yep. Let's do that. So that is 1d8 plus 3 for the normal damage. That is shit. That's a 4 for the normal damage, and then 2d8 plus 3 for the normal. Let's see. That's another 12 smite damage. So that's
Okay.
18 damage total.
Excellent.
Because my
Nope, it's
smite
done.
apparently does better than my strike. So
Right.
Yeah.
Just going for the scroll.
strike.
And yeah, as you bring that down, it just smites and erupts into him. Light flares, and he yells out in pain, "By the blessed, cursed Fey!" And everyone else as well. The creature that was pinned to the wall suddenly erupts in light as its entire body incinerates into ash, and this flaring white light bursts out through the whole room.
Ooh.
I need everybody to give me a Constitution saving throw.
Constitution.
Oh, here we go.
Natural
saving throw.
one!
Mhm.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Congratulations.
That's a whole 18.
With the bless.
Don't
with
forget
the
your
Constitution.
bless. And your influence die, I believe they're called.
And
Plus 6,
Oh, yeah.
1d6.
yeah, I'm
could.
gonna add one of those. To
Um,
mine.
You could add one of those.
I am too.
I got we got 40. We got 4 of them, right?
Oh no, I only got
Yes.
a 1. Okay, so 11.
Well, I rolled an 18. So.
A lemon.
Yeah. Oof. I rolled 2 of those icon die, and that was not good. I rolled a 5, and then my bless gave me a 2. So
Okay.
it's bad.
What does your icon die give you? Another 2?
Another 4, but I don't think that's enough. That's an 11 total.
A lemon.
That
And
sucks.
Anaran,
Can I use my icon dice to do a reroll? Can I sacrifice
you can.
just in sneaking through shadows as a member of the court most related to
Oh
shadows?
wait. Sorry.
Of the light.
So for the re-roll, and I realize doing this kind of ad hoc, is sort of like how in my regular game. So you have to sacrifice the dice and roll it, and only if it's a 5 or a 6 can you re-roll.
Gotcha.
So it's a little bit
Oh, it's a
riskier
3.
than just adding it. All right.
I have a natural 1 and
Excellent. And
5
what
if I go with my
Aaron's
bless.
total.
I got a 12.
Okay. Nope.
Wow,
You are
you
currently
all
blind.
suck.
I'm currently blind.
You are currently blind. Everyone else, you kind
Oh.
of shielded your eyes, and you are okay.
I mean, I only have one eye to close, so that's the
This makes me no less useful.
One of the other tiny creatures that was not frightened leaps out towards Zolan
Huh. Yeah.
and sort of stabs at him with a dagger. But that is a 12 to hit.
I have an armor class of 17.
Yeah,
Nice.
so he's just like stabbing vainly at you. I'm used to stabbing undefended targets. Zolan, what are you doing?
Okay, how many? So there's 4 of the little ones, right? Still around?
One's been eliminated. One
Okay.
is stabbing you, and then 2 are frightened. From your divine smite, and the bigger individual gloom is still nearby.
Okay, so so in that case, since he's right up on me, I will cast Spiritual Weapon,
Okay.
and it comes out as a flaming longsword.
Nice.
Excellent.
So it's a bonus action to cast, and I do get 1 attack off of it. So, and I get my bless. So let's see how this works out. That is 15. That is 18 to hit.
That definitely hits.
Okay, and it's a D8 plus 3. That'll be 5 force damage.
Okay.
And then I'll attack with my mace in the face.
Yep.
Excellent.
And that is a total of 13 to hit.
13 actually does not hit.
Okay.
As you go to swing with the mace, he kind of get hit with the sword and it knocked him forward a little bit, and your mace swings over his head. But he does not look good.
Did you add your blush?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay, Dawn.
I would like to cast a spell.
Okay.
Okay, I am going to pull out like a little one of those water dowsing rods that just looks like a forked stick and a twig, and I am going to cast Locate Object.
Excellent. I'm assuming the ritual scroll?
On the scroll.
Yep.
And
So
I'm
you're
going
blind.
to blindly make my way towards that scroll as fast as I can move.
All right.
My webs have disappeared by this point.
They have. So go ahead.
They
and
did
just,
disappear.
Jumbling through the melee and that sort of thing. Just go ahead and give me an acrobatics check.
Woo!
With disadvantage. 'cause
Another
you're
natural
blind.
one.
Oh,
I am going to roll my icon dice and see what I get. That is a natural 1 on the icon dice too.
This is a great encounter.
You start to dive
Zolan
through.
feels a little goblin head button right in the butt.
Nope, not what I'm looking for.
Definitely not.
Okay.
Mr.
So the 2 frightened ones, do they repeat their save at the end of their turn? From your
Yes. Let me
spiritual
check,
or from
but I
your
believe that's true.
that was from Zolan's channel.
No, mine. No, it's not.
No, it's
mine was
mine.
radiant damage. It's from a.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Oh, right. Yeah, sorry.
It's spend its turn trying to move as far away as possible as it can't take reactions.
Yep.
I don't see anything about repeating the save. I think they just have to spend a minute trying to run away from me.
Oh, it's a minute. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
And so they can't really get to anyone in the party because
They're running away from me.
They're running away from you, and you're kind of in the middle of the room, so it's pretty hard for them to move closer. Except that some logic. They start circling around the outside to go towards the doors, which are kind of behind all of you, but they still can't come in to attack any of you because that would necessitate moving closer. So their only route of escape is to try and get out the doors. And so that is what they spend this turn doing. And Gloom sort of whips off his short sword, whips off his short sword again, growls, and sort of looks around between everybody, and sees Nope kind of standing there in the vicinity of Zolan, and says, "You serve her, you die first," and takes a stab at you with advantage.
Nope.
Oh.
Shield.
Reaction.
What's that?
Shield reaction. And my verbal component is nope.
And
So what's your armor class right now? Nope.
20.
Nice.
Oh,
All right, so he
Oh,
misses with the
nice.
first one as it skitters off of the arcane shield.
Uh-oh.
And the second one does as well. The second attack is he's jabbing it in. Curse you, blessed Fey servant fools! All right.
Can I have your tattoos?
What is everyone doing?
Am I still blind?
well, if he's gonna attack Nope, I'm gonna attack him.
That's what I was going to say.
And I was going to push through the group towards the gray elf to engage him.
Okay. Nope, you can now see.
Yay!
Okay, well, I'm gonna try and shoot the evil elf.
Absolutely.
Oh boy. 18.
18 hits, and he has been wounded.
All right. Now, give
So
me
there
just a second.
are two hostiles that are still fighting us: a darkling named Gloom, and then the gray elf. Right?
Gloom, the
Gloom
gray
is
elf,
the dark
he's
elf.
actually a darkling elder.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then there's the small darklings. You kind of
Got it.
now start to recognize him as you get sort
Got
of a better
it.
look. Ain, yep.
14 damage.
Okay.
Nice.
Big hit.
Because my hunter's mark is not on him, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yes, okay,
Although
so
you could
14,
move it, you
yep.
could move it with your bonus action though, because
Yep.
the target it was
Before
on
you
died.
attack.
Ah, hell,
So
I might as
before you
well.
attack.
Okay, sure.
Yep.
I'll move it. And that, oh, yes, 6. Okay, so 20.
All right.
Nice.
20.
Nice.
So as he's stabbing
Wrecking face.
at Nope, your arrow, as he kind of just turns around to survey the room, catches him in the eye. And his head snaps back around as he clutches at it and sort of spins around. And as he's spinning his whole body, you see these runic tattoos start glowing brighter and brighter.
Guys, this could be a problem.
Can I stop that from happening?
And I say,
And-
an eye for an eye, Vestiar.
And
So I was going to say, thanks, Enron. I was going to say, it doesn't stick so well now, does it?
and how would you like to stop it?
I'm just going to just stab him in the face
Okay.
with
All right.
some divine smiting, hopefully.
I will retreat.
Okay.
Okay,
Go ahead
that
and-
is a 15 to hit.
All right. So your blade cleaves into his body, sort of lighting
Okay.
up and burning. And his whole body turns to ash, and then just this bright white light flares out as it just kind of ripples out through. And I need everyone to make a con save.
Here we go again.
Oh, that's better.
We're not using this
Gotcha.
dice.
That's a 17.
Excellent.
7.
Oh, yes. That's a 22 this time.
Hey, Solon.
13.
Excellent.
22.
22. Okay.
Nope. What?
So
Are you denying me?
so everyone sort of turns. Ian, you kind of catch this flare of light on your face, and you can feel this heat flash. You take 7 points of radiant damage, and then you are blinded.
Ooh.
Fuck. Oh,
And then there's
Uh-oh,
just
the ranger's
like,
blinded.
You just
really
hear this,
bad.
Get out of here! They killed Gloom! As the 3 sort of little darklings are like, trying to stream out of the place.
We sure he's dead?
Well, he
The
exploded.
There's just this like pile of ash at your feet.
I guess so.
Pretty dead.
I kick the ashes just gently, just to make sure.
Yep, it kind of ripples in the breeze as you kick it around. A little bit of a breeze blows in, and the ash kind of swirls around the room a little bit.
I rushed for the scroll.
Can I
God.
put a 10-foot pole that's extending out towards him in between Nope and the scroll?
Of course.
Good morning, sunshine. as he says, and it extends out to a stop note.
What? Why not? Oh,
It's
I wanted to give it as a gift.
evidence. It's evidence, obviously.
What? What was that you said? What's that word?
Evidence, obviously.
Can you say that a little more clearly? I think you're speaking Gnomish. I don't speak that.
Evidence, obviously.
And technically, since it was the property of Phalon, it is the property of the Summer Court.
Agreed.
Well, that's just semantics.
Can I just touch it?
No.
Of course you can touch it. Of course you can.
Very carefully and sensually.
I pick up.
That's a bit out of realm. We've stopped. I'm guessing this is the assassin.
What was that word?
Assassin.
Sure. So as you guys are kind of standing there with the ritual,
Blind.
yes, and blinded. Although after a couple of seconds, it actually fades away.
I was going to say, can Vestiaire use his lay on hands to heal the blindness?
Yeah, it's fading away, and you're lay on hands to kind of cure the flash wounds, and where she's been flash burnt on the, or he has been flash burnt on the face. Sorry, as you guys are standing around, you just hear a, well done, behind you.
Okay, I whip around.
I was going to say the exact same thing, so.
Yeah.
There is 3 incredibly beautiful and unique in their own ways beings standing behind you, sort of in the doorway. One of them is a tall, robust-looking male Fey, sort of bare-chested, dark skin, long, flowing brown hair, and almost a crown seated on his head, but it's just made of wood, with a pair of stag's antlers rising out above it. And he's just leaning on a spear, pretty casually, kind of a wry smile on his face, crackling green eyes. There is a richly dressed, almost foppish male Fey noble with a sort of hat tilted at a jaunty angle, these richly brocaded robes, emblazoned. They're all in gold, and then there's like a gold sunburst on top of it. He's just got like a little cane that he kind of leans on, and a stunningly beautiful woman, dark midnight blue skin, long silver hair, and eyes that just seem to be black and reflect an infinite starscape.
Zolan drops on one knee, puts his head down. Your Grace, we are blessed by your appearance.
Yeah, Nope is face down, prostrate.
Vestiaire gives the slightest of bows and says, "Welcome, fellow nobles of the court."
Get down, you fool!
They kind of look over, and the woman smirks. You mean queen, don't you?
I mean, fellow nobles, yes. So, I mean, if you're a queen, that's fine. So,
I immediately go to a knee, kneeling my head, and sort of putting my arm sort of over my sort of chest in sort of a salute.
This has
They
already
sort of-
cost me an eye, so.
Yes. Something you freely acknowledge the prices paid. She kind of like looks over at the scroll and makes a gesture with her hands, and it floats up and sort of floats across the room. She looks over at the man, who kind of looks almost a little embarrassed, and just says, "Yes, well," he plucks it out of the air, "and we'll just take care of this." And he tucks it away in his pouch. And of course, yes, rise.
I never
No
know.
need to stand on ceremony.
Exactly, same.
And the huntsman kind of just grins and looks over at you and sort of winks a little bit. And they pass their blessing upon you. They sort of come in and sort of, each of them individually, with the exception of Vestiaire, they come in and sort of, lay their hand upon you and sort of whisper words of congratulations. And you can just feel this energy coursing through you as your Feyness sort of is amplified within. And you are all sort of richly rewarded and promoted in rank within the court.
It is an honor.
Zolan goes through that anime glistening eye, like senpai notice me expression.
This is one step closer to marriage.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. That wraps up our little Fey adventure, murder, mystery, assassin hunt.
Fun stuff.
I want to heartily thank all of my players for being here. Only one of whom I have ever played with before, but all of you I would happily play with again anytime. You guys made it so much fun, and keeping everyone gloriously entertained with your antics. I think that Vestiaire with his accent and Nope with his...
Nope.
With his nopeness.
Nopeness.
We're highly... we're favorites among chat. And thank you, everyone, for coming and watching. We will be streaming again, presumably next week, next Tuesday, at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is our normal streaming time. I have to organize another one-shot. Normally it would be our Underdark Clouds, but I have some players who aren't going to be able to make it. I have no idea what I'm going to run, but I will probably be putting it out there on Twitch to get some, probably 2, maybe 3 players, and we'll see what we come up with. And why don't we go around and everyone can, again, let everybody know where you are, where you're at, where they can find you. How about we start with Ken?
Okay, well, thanks again so much, Dan, for having me on the stream, and thanks to all the players. You guys are awesome. Dan, you were an awesome DM. Thank you so much. D&D is so sick, and it's so awesome to be able to share our stories with lots of other people. Check me out, Ken Breeze, on Twitter, @BurlingsBeard. You can find me on Instagram and my website there. I'm a for-hire dungeon master in the New York City area. You can hire me to run your games. Also, check out my diceless, DM-less storytelling podcast called Board Ghost. Like you are a bored person, not like board games. And thanks again, Dan.
Excellent. You're very welcome, and thank you. It was a pleasure indeed. Jackie?
Yeah, thanks, Dan, for having me. Thank you, everyone who was here with me. This was a blast. It's been a while since I play. And you can find me at deathbymage.com. I'm also on Twitter at deathbymage. And you can also find my Journey into the Feywild D&D supplement on the DM's Guild if you want.
And I heartily recommend it. I picked it up, not so much for planning this, but it is a great supplement, and I believe there's some fantastic art from one of our other players in there as well. And on that note, Sam.
Thanks for inviting me. This was my first game, in person. I had a lot of fun. It took me a little bit to hit my stride, I think, but
I think you did fantastic, and Ain was certainly a shining force.
Yes.
And got the killing blow. And got the killing blow.
One of the dudes. Yeah.
Ended it.
Nice.
And thank you, Dan, for running it, and Max for inviting me. And I think most of you already follow me on Twitter, probably, so I don't need to mention that, but I do art, and there are so many characters from this that I want to draw now, because I'm just imagining the queen of stars.
Yes.
In particular, it sounds really fucking
Nope,
cool.
would appreciate that.
I'll draw her with Nope. I will draw their wedding day.
I would happily commission art of the Queen of Star and Shadows, and in fact, Max his character Farnak in Underdark Clouds. His character art comes from Sam as well. Max, where can everyone find you?
Well, I'm at Allmax D20, and I'm mostly pretty much right just on Twitter, jumping into everyone's chats, whether I'm welcomed or not. Red Raiders!
Yes.
And I'm on pretty much every Tuesday night is my thing. So if there are one shots, I'll be begging Dan to let me join. And alternating weeks, I'm playing Farnak in our Underdark Clouds game.
Excellent, thanks. And again, last but not least, Taryn, where can everyone find you?
Everyone can find me on Twitter at Tarzan No Z, and pretty much again nowhere else. Mainly because I'm literally just a fan of D&D and the D&D Twitter community. But I also help brew beer in Kansas City. So if you're ever in that area, drop by and have some beer that I make, because apparently people do that. So,
Where?
Which Kansas
Dubious
City?
Claims Brewing Company. In the Northland. Doesn't really matter. It's small scale, so we don't can or anything. But anyway, Dan, thank you so much for having everybody. I especially myself as a kind of just grab bag edition. I really appreciate just being able to participate and have fun. So.
Absolutely. And again, everyone, thank you. You can find me, again, mostly on Twitter, like everyone else, at MadsciDM. I'm various places around the interwebs if you Google hard enough, but don't Google too hard, because who knows what you'll find. I've been on the internet for a long time. Many forums and message boards, I'm sure. But for D&D stuff, at MadsciDM. I host DM here on Variant Roles, and occasionally host a DM's roundtable talking about science in your gaming called Dungeon Science. We've done one show, hoping to get another one going again soon. And of course, you can find us here at Variant Roles on Twitter, Variant Roles on YouTube, and variantroles.com. So thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.